Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. Family, all right. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. Tonight is Thursday, October 1st. I am your host, Rhonda, and then we also have host Sis Sahida. Sis, I hear you. Your mic is scratching.
Uh-oh. Let me get still. I had to get up and close the door. Rise and shine, beloved.
How are
I'm
you,
set.
sis?
I'm wonderful. How you doing?
I'm good, girl. Ooh, sis, we got so much stuff to cover tonight. We have to do the hot topics. We just can't get past it. The hot news events, rather. We can't get past that because there's so much going on. And then tonight we're still going to continue with the creation story. So we're on part 4. So we're still going to use the book of Enoch, the Terra Papers, and the El Holy Tablets as sources. And, of course, we'll also bring in the Holy Bible and then some other ancient texts that our panel brings in. So I know I saw Brother Wendell there. So we're going to bring him on. I am not sure. I think Brother Tahuti's going to join us tonight also. Brother Kale was under the weather, Brother Kelly, so he may not join us tonight.
He's not going to join us tonight.
Okay. But I do want to also tonight, our sis Gwen from the Chi Town.
Gwen
yeah, we're gonna bring her on to the panel as well. She sent me such powerful info. I told her, I said, sis, I can't sit here and read through all this stuff. Sis, we're getting a lot of feedback from your mic still.
Really?
Yeah. So I basically told her to, if she could, to please join us on the panel. We would love for her to be on the panel. So Sis Gwen is going to join us on the panel as well tonight. So I do want to start out by saying that one of our Dream Team family members, Brother Black, if you guys have noticed, he hadn't been on the show in a little bit, and he was back in Honduras. That's where he is from, helping take care of his mom, and she transitioned on the 28th of this month. So, let's all send Brother Black some positive energy and love vibes, and we know Mama Black, the mother of Blacksmith, is looking down on him very proud. So we do want to send love and shout out to our Brother Black. And also Brother Kelly, he was under the weather, so we sent him some healing vibrations. He seems to be getting better, so we want to keep continuing that up as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so before we get into that, y'all, get into the show, I have to backtrack and do a from last week's show with Dr. Henderson. Baby.
Off the blicker.
Oh, my gosh. We couldn't have planned that. There's no way we could have planned that. It just totally blew me away. So if anybody has not heard that show, it was so powerful, y'all. Let me tell you, it took me 4 days to upload that video to YouTube because they kept rejecting it. And if you go back and listen to it, you'll see why they rejected it, because he brought it. So we're going to jump into it, because the first one on the list, y'all listened last week, he got into breaking down the story of John Boehner. And so actually, Brother Cal was the one that asked the question. Because Brother Kelly
sure was.
Yeah,
he sure did.
Because Brother Kelly asked him, was he a
reptilian?
A reptilian, yeah. He asked him if he was a reptilian because he was watching him during the Pope's speech, and he couldn't keep his tongue in his mouth. And so Dr. Henderson broke it down and said, well, he's a Nephilim. I said, hot dog. So those of you that's been following the Creation Story Myth series, you know what Nephilim means. Okay, so he goes, Dr. Henderson, like he does, he goes on down the line, breaking it down on the rest of them, because, it just wasn't about Boehner. He broke it down on everybody else, including the Pope. Now, okay, here's where the crap gets juicy. So I'm minding my little business, getting ready, to get up and out and about. Do. I see a story that Boehner is resigning the next day.
Yes. The next, he's not resigning from one position, but all the positions.
Like, I'm out, deuces. I'm out in October. And I sat there with my mouth open. I'm like, I'm like, oh, man, that's because Dr. Henderson called him out. It's got to be that. Now, that was a Friday morning before the UN call. That hit the news about
it sure did.
So, of course, Dr. Henderson confirmed that on the UN call. That's why he did resign. So it gets better. I'm minding my business over the weekend as usual. So Sunday, I usually don't watch the political news station because I can't stomach it. They make my stomach straight up turn with the eyes.
Yeah.
So something said, because I do watch CBS Morning, and I like the last little part where they had the pretty little nature scenes. So then Face the Nation came on, and something said, keep it on that channel to see who on their line this week, because I thought it would be some fresh people on their line about the government shutdown. So they were like, Speaker of the House, Boehner. Well, I said, I got to watch this. Let me see.
Some popcorn and park it.
Exactly. I was sipping my coffee, girl, sipping and shaking, waiting. So then he gets on Face the Nation on Sunday. Baby, let me tell you what he said. And then, sis, Gwen, you're going to have to get ready because I know you got some analysis on this, too. He basically, on Face the Nation, given the reason that he stepped down because he wants to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and I was cussing under my breath.
You lying dog, freaking fracking foul.
Lie. So then, that's the part that blew my wig back, as sis said. He had the audacity to say that people in Congress are false prophets. I said,
Beware of false prophets.
Yeah, I said, I didn't hear that right. So the little news commentator man was like, probably like me, like, I don't think I heard that right. So he repeated it.
And he repeated it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Beware of false prophets. I said, no, this explicitly didn't mention false prophet out of his so-and-so mouth. Okay. Then it gets better. So the little newsman says, so what was George Mario That's the fake Pope's real name, y'all. He don't deserve Pope. Not on this show. He will not be called that title.
No.
So, George, what did George Mario whisper in your ear? Boehner with his fake tan. He told me to pray for him. And he kept telling me that several times to pray for him. I almost spit my coffee at that TV. I saw, so he did. Oh, so he did.
Right.
Could he be scared, like Dr. Henderson said he was Thursday on that call and reiterated it Friday on the UN call? Did he not say that the demons are trembling at the sound of his voice, if I remember properly?
Sure did, and you do remember properly.
Did he
and
not?
Now he cried. I mean, all that crying. I'm sorry. It was cracking me up.
Well, see, he is known with his fake spray on tan. He is known for crying. That is what he's known for. So, you know, when he was sitting up there that time slinging snot and boogers, I didn't really think about it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But little did I know the real reason that, you know, he was crying and then the Pope pulling him to the little side, asking him to pray for him. So now, family, remember, those of you that were with us last week, when we went over the book of Enoch, I said, hot dog, thank you, Father, thank you, all praises, because we had went over that last week in the book of Enoch on what the Most High said about the Nephilim, which are the children of the fallen angels, and the fallen angels. He clearly said there is no forgiveness. None. At the end of time, when the judgment time comes, you going in the pit.
That's it. That's all. Because you had plenty of chances to change your mind and be good.
So that's what that was all about Boehner stepping down and, you know, the Pope going around asking people to pray for him because he knows, both of them know there is a curse upon their head and there is no redemption. So along with the ones that they worship and that they are directly related to by blood, they're all going into the pit. And they know what time it is. They definitely know what time it is. So, Sis Gwen, I am going to bring you on, love. So get ready, because I know you have some information for the family. And I see they just dropped Sis Sahida off. So she'll be back on. So, Sis Gwen, I'm about to open up your line. Sis Gwen, you there?
I'm here, Sister Rhonda. Love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. How are you today?
I'm well. Peace and love to you, sis. Peace and love.
Well, thank you. I am so nervous.
Girl, you better talk like you normally be talking. This
I
is
know.
It ain't no different. You know how we chops it up. Okay, yeah, we saw you. I saw you drop this. So, so Sis Gwen, you just chop it up like we normally chop it up,
Gwen.
like having a
conversation.
conversation.
Well, and it's so interesting because, you know, since we had that call with Dr. Henderson, and Dr. Henderson was, you know, at that point, I'm sorry, if you guys hear noise, this is my grandbaby, but Dr. Henderson was saying that, you know, start paying attention when he was talking to us about George Mario. So I started really paying attention to his visit, trying to find out why he was actually here, and listen to some of the things that he was saying. So stop, Liv. So with some of the things that he was saying, no, I'm sorry. I was walking by the television, and I kind of had the television on, and then it said that the Pope's visit. Go ahead. The Pope's visit was flight 777-200 American Airlines, as he was actually here within the United States. And so when 777, I just stopped. I'm like, what? I said 777. That must mean something. And I know that 7 is a number of perfection. That I know. And so I started to reach out to individuals to ask them what that meant. But as I began to do some research, I saw that.
Okay, you faint now, sis. Did you put us on speaker or something?
No. Give me 1 minute, guys.
Okay. Okay, so if Keisha didn't hear her, she said that George Mario, the flight that he was on, the number of the flight was 777. You still a little faint. I don't know what you did,
okay,
but
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So as I was talking about the television, I heard 777. The Pope was in the United States, and he flew on flight 777. And so I stopped immediately, and I'm like, what does that mean? I'm not into numerology. I'm learning. I'm not into etymology. I'm learning. So I said, it's something with this. So I began to do the research. And Sister Rhonda, I've been learning from you because you Wikipedia everything. So I go into Wikipedia, and I noticed that American Airlines, Wikipedia, American Airlines, but when he came into the country from Rome, he was on a different airline that's an Italian Airlines, A330. And which, when he transferred, he became an American Airlines flight 777. And they named the flight that he was on Shepherd 1.
Oh, so they did.
They did.
Shepherd.
Ooh. Called Shepherd 1. And I'm like, Shepherd 1? I'm like, oh, my God. So you know how the president has Air Force 1? So they named him Shepherd 1. Like, he's the man that, he's the shepherd of the world. So, and I remember that when Dr. Henderson and you, Rhonda, and Sister Saida, you tell us to kind of do research, it kind of takes you backwards. You have to go backwards to come forward. So when I go into Wikipedia, Sister Rhonda, it was like they selected people on the flight crew from different parts of the country. Like they had it was Chicago, Miami, they had Dallas, they had all kind of people, but this was the American Airlines 7th time that they've flown the Pope. I'm like, wait a minute. So he's on flight 777. This is the 7th time that they've flown the Pope. So then I went back further. In 1965, at that time, the airline was called TWA. They flew Pope Paul VI. In 1979, TWA flew Pope Paul II. 87, Pope Paul II. 93, Pope Paul II. Now, he's been a pope that's been here more than anyone. In 95, they flew the same pope. 99, they flew the same pope. And in 2015 was when it changed. They flew Pope Francis in, George Mario in, and they flew him in on flight 777-200. And so that's the actual flight of completion. And so when they flew him into that, and when I did a little research, he actually flew into Texas.
Oh, really?
Yes, he flew.
Girl, you better. What part of Texas did he fly into?
I'm going to tell you. He flew in from London to Dallas. He was on he flew in on the Italian flight, but he flew in on that flight, and the tail of the flight was N776AN. I don't know much about that, but he flew from London to Dallas. He got right back on that plane and left Dallas quick. They picked him up and shot him out, and I started laughing because I thought about Dr. Henderson. He didn't want to be in Dallas with the doctor. He said, I got to get out of here. He flew into Dallas, and so then they took him out of Dallas, and they began to send him all, in the different states that he was actually in. So I began to look up the number 7 and what it was, and I know that I did get some information when I was talking to you, Sister Rhonda, but I got a little bit further. Now, there are 7 continents. We have Europe, Asia, Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, and Australia. We have the 7 seas, and this is what sparkles: the North, the South, North Pacific, South Pacific, the North and South Atlantic, Indian Ocean, the Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. Now, when Dr. Henderson was, we have 7 colors of the rainbow.
Yep.
We have 7 keys of music, A to G. We have 7 levels on the periodic table. We have 7 heavenly bodies: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. We have the 7 stars that they talk about, starting with the Big Dipper, you know, and they've used to look at those signs for forever. We have 7 digits in a row, proven over and over again to be the average limit for most human beings, right? And so it's so much to go through. So I've taken a look at, we have, let's see what this says. We have 7 cavities. We have 7 cavities in the external human heel. We have, excuse me, come here. Lemma, you coming in? I'm sorry, my grandbaby's 3 guys. And so we have 2 eyes. We have 2 ears. We have 2 nostrils, and we have 1 mouth. Liam. And we have 1 mouth. And so as I kept going into the fact of all of these 7, what the number 7 actually represented, I'm like, and we have 7 central nervous systems. And so when I looked at the number 7, it's like that's the number of completion. And remember the last time I was on a call, Sister Rhonda and Sister Saida, that I talked about the Henderson. He told me to give him a call and talked about the pineal gland.
Right.
Okay. So we talked for a while, and I just happened to know this with Dr. Henderson. I said, Dr. Henderson, I noticed that the Pope was on flight 777-200. So 200 meant that when I looked in 200, it said that when King Saul had a hatred for David, he began to grow because he saw that God was with David. And he devised a way for someone other than himself to kill the king. So instead of them bringing... Yes. Okay, tell me what you see, Lamb. Tell me what you see. So instead of them bringing 100 foreskins, which is found in 1 Samuel 18, he bought 200 foreskins. He bought 200 foreskins of the Philistines to prove that he was going to do what was set out to do to get David. And so his flight was 777-200. So he's trying to prove that Dr. Henderson said that was the number of completion. He said what George Mario was trying to do is said that whatever agenda that they have, that they've set out for the United States or the world or the country, however you want to put it, he's trying to say that it's now complete. But Dr. Henderson is telling me that little did he know that what he's thinking he's about to do is not going to happen. And what he's going to do now with the number 777, that was his flight number, -200, is that he's going to try and do more than necessary to show the world that he is the actual Pope. He's the man of God. And then when he did his speech, he said that on the cross, when Yeshua, he said Jesus, but Yeshua, when he was on the actual cross, that Yeshua's agenda had pretty much failed, and that he was the one here to make sure that it happened. And that's why he's here to say, like, 777 is completion, and not only am I going to bring the 100 foreskins of the Philistines that you're requesting, I'm going to bring you 200. And TWA has flown with the Pope for this is the 7th time, and then American Airlines has flown with the Pope at least 7 times. So when I go into TWA, you have all these. You have Roosevelt. You have I don't have it. It's a lot of the presidents that have actually, it had become a scandal with that TWA airline that they had to switch the name over to American Airlines, who now adopted say, we are the ones that's going to take care of the Pope. So I found that strange that this was the only airline that we have plenty that said, because they've been around since 1735, I think you said, they've been in cahoots with the Pope going from country to country, round and round, and the seventh time they've done it, he's on flight 777-200. That's perfection, but I'm going to give you more than what you guys are asking for, and I yield.
Wow. Ooh. Thank you, sis. Thank you. I'm going to put you on mute now. Bring you back or text me if you want to get it, put something on it. I'm going to mute you. Thanks, sis, and we're going to chop it up about that. Woo!
That was heavy, Sis Gwen.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, so I did say last Thursday that as he was visiting those cities, he should have stopped in Dallas.
You sure did.
So, my bad for that, George, but I don't recall Dr. Henderson saying you went and gave no DNA. So, again, whatever you call yourself doing with the little rituals, it ain't working.
Exactly what it is, sis.
It ain't working. You just call yourself doing a little ritual, but we could have told you had you listened to the Truth Uncompromised show a little bit more, boo, that your rituals that you used to do, they don't have any more power.
And listen, this is what I discovered about why that is. And it happened, it ended in 2012, right?
Exactly.
Because they had access to some advanced technology, and it was called a looking glass. This is how they was winning stuff and preempting everybody, preemptive strike. You know what I'm saying? That's why they used that for preemptive, because they was using this looking glass where the power in it went out in 2012. That was a wrap. That's when it all wrapped up for them. So they couldn't see no more. They couldn't see, you know, when was the best time to do this and when was the best time to, or they couldn't see down the timeline and see if they was going to be successful or not.
Right, because remember in 2012, those of us that kind of follow on the metaphysical side, that's when the central galaxy, central sun, lined up with our universe or galaxy per se. So it totally shifted the energy. So that's when their window of opportunity for their little powers that they were using, that's when it closed up. And so if you all were paying attention, that's when they kept ramping up their version of false flags even more, because they're still trying to generate energy. Now it is taking so much energy to keep the people fooled.
Yeah.
So that's what he called himself jumping on flight 777. This his seventh time, and stopping in Dallas to make a point to, you know, Dr. Henderson, and, you know, he's the one that's still going to be the shepherd over the people to make them believe that he's the closest to the most highest. But he keeps forgetting we already know how the story is going to end. We already know.
Yes, we do. Can I put something else on the 777?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Sister Diane shared someone named James Dunn post. And it's elaborate, but I'm just going to pull some points off of it. And I'm going to say this. The 1% cabal adopted the Babylon prophecy the Babylon, I can't read, portion of the prophecy as traditional enemies of the ancient Kemetic Hebraic calendar that our planetarium DNA sim is based on. Man, 777. Melanin American Nation trifecta. is a double menorah in cosmological constant that measures a jubilee tariff out to the value of a man's 50 organs. 49 million, 7 times 7. That's just a little brief thing. Man, they're saying, and he's saying that man represents the melanin American nation, the aboriginals, the indigenous. There's a perfection going on in that nation of people right now in their DNA.
Absolutely. And that makes perfect sense. So thank you, Sis Gwen, again for making that connection. And it was meant for you to walk past that television and pick up that flight number so we could let the family know to enter and understand that that was all a ritual. We told you all that last week that that's what they call themselves doing, a ritual. So he gonna fly in on a divine number and then touch down in the new, because what does Dallas represent?
The New Jerusalem.
Exactly. So he had the audacity to touch down there and then jump on the plane real quick to fly to the 3 capitals on this nation to call himself setting a ritual up to prove that he is still, you know, the shepherd over everything. But see, something must have spooked him, because he was sure whispering in folks' ear to pray for him. So I don't know if, you know, he got paid a visit by Mikael, Gabrielle, Uriel, Raphael, Henderson. I don't know if they kind of reminded him what the prophecy says. But he knows what time it is.
He's an imposter.
Exactly. None of their tricks, none of their spells, none of it is working. They may have majority of the people fooled, but here's the key, family, and I've said it several times on this show. It's not going to take all of the people to get it done. Because it's already done. It's in divine order. It took certain amount of people and certain kind of people to get it done. So they were never going to win the battle anyway, because as we read last week out of the book of Enoch, their judgment had been passed. That was millions of years ago. They're judged in our time anyway. I don't know in the divine's time. That could be a couple of days. I don't know, because they measure time and frequency differently than we do in this plane. The judgment was already set. So they think, because remember, family, and we're going to get into that tonight again, they are bound here on this planet. That was part of the curse. So they think that they all let in the bag of chips and they going to overturn the ruling. It ain't going to happen, boo.
Ain't. It's a wrap.
Just because you know the sciences, so what? Who you think you going to outbeat the person that created the science?
That's a lot of nerve.
It's not possible.
That is a lot of nerve.
Girl, then got me re-hot up under the collar, messing with him. Better go and have several seats. So, but thank you for that, Sis Gwen. Thank you so much. So we're going to, real quick, I only had a couple things to highlight in the news reel before we jump into the topic tonight. So the first thing I wanted to discuss, RT News, check out, family. You could probably go online and find it. They did a documentary. Sis, I know you're going to be like, what? On the Seminoles and Cherokees. And they're talking Seminoles. I'm sorry, I never pronounced it right. On the Seminoles and the Cherokee tribe. And they talk about how the less melanated, or the Indians, as they're calling themselves today, are locking out the highly melanated Indians and telling them that they are not the real Indians, and how they have been profiting from the payoff that they receive from the U.S. Corp through these casinos and all of that, this, that, and the third. So it's a really good documentary on it, and they had the original Cherokees and the Seminoles on this documentary. So it's pretty good. The only thing I don't like that RT kind of slanted it like these the less melanated Indians adopted the highly melanated Indians into their tribe, or they were their slaves. We know that is not the case. Totally know that's not the case. But I'm telling you to watch it just for the fact you can get a feel of how the information is getting out there. And then the second part is this is code, family, letting you know it's on and popping.
Right.
Land is being returned to the rightful owners. So check out that documentary on RT News. Just real quick, Daddy Bush is supposedly gravely sick. He got sick right after Dr. Henderson appearances, to supposedly he's straight up on his deathbed.
You asked me, he been dead.
Yeah, that's what I say. So, you know, supposedly one of his clones is gravely sick.
That's more like it.
Exactly. The other thing in the news, Putin's been kicking up a lot of stuff. Yeah, Putin been doing interviews like he a rock star, telling it like a T.I. is. He basically sat down with 60 Minutes, and that's another interview you can catch on 60 Minutes site, and pretty much said, you know, the U.S. full of crap. They were behind the ISIS stuff. They're heavily involved in trying to overthrow a legitimate leader in Syria. And so the 60 Minutes man was kind of tap dancing around it. He said, well, are you trying to say that the U.S. was involved in the unrest in Syria? He said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Right. Which part didn't you understand?
Exactly. So, you know, Putin came out swinging, telling it like it was, and he went so strong with it. He said that, you know, that basically the U.S. is trying to overthrow a legitimate government, just like what happened in Libya. So I was like, oh, so that was another one. Yeah, that's pretty hot. So a couple of days later, if you all are watching the news, that Putin and team, they're doing airstrikes in Syria as we know it, targeting ISIS to wipe them out. So, of course, in the U.S. Corp news, they're making it seem like Russia is attacking Syria. But we're different. And tonight we're going to talk about Syria because it's going to blow y'all wig back. Syria shows up in the book of Enoch.
Wow.
So it's a connection. We're going to get into that tonight. So the last thing with Putin bringing it, he also called the U.S. Corp out on their Ukraine. He pretty much said that the U.S. was involved in a Ukraine coup.
Yep.
So that's huge, family, for a world leader to come on and basically put the truth out there like that. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat with them, none of that. He put it all out there. So take heed to what that means. He's already telling you that the war or the Armageddon, or I forgot how Dr. Henderson pronounces it. Armageddon has already started. So take heed to that, family. He's already putting it out there. And once we get into the book of Enoch and you see what's up with Syria, you're going to be like, So, okay. So the last thing in the news, and then we'll get started, is right before we jumped on the air, I know a lot of you heard about this deadly shooting on an Oregon campus.
College campus.
Yeah, the college campus. So, you know, as we talked on Truth Uncompromised, whenever we hear of these types of shootings or whatever, it is a signal for a false flag. So now again, false flag doesn't mean that nobody did not perish in the attack, but what it means is it was planned. And it is always usually planned for an agenda and a distraction. And in this case, it is both. The agenda is they're still trying to push gun control. The second part of it is they just slid in a 2-month to stop the government from shutting down, because it was supposed to shut down today. So they done dug up some printing machine and brushed the dust off of it and printing fiat. So they're only supposedly and allegedly printing it for 2 months. So I cannot wait. I'm not going to be able to get in the queue tomorrow morning on the UN call, but if somebody can please get in the queue and ask, you know, what's up with them with this still coming up with these bills to tie them over. You know, what are they, how are they getting around that? So I would love to hear Dr. Henderson's take on that. So if somebody can get in the queue for a sister and get Dr. Henderson's take on that. So that is the weekly news. So we are going
to. Can I add one more thing to the weekly news?
Sure thing.
Everybody is probably aware by now of Hurricane Joaquin. Well, Sister Shelley shared the meaning of the name Joaquin.
And I was going to say, why I got to be a brother's name?
Well, because that masculine energy whoops ass, okay? Pardon my French. But Joaquin means God's judgment. Okay.
Girl, stop playing.
So check it. And this New Jersey, the state of New Jersey declared a state of emergency, and we know who the governor of New Jersey is, which is Chris Christie, right? Well, what is in his name but Christ? So this is my thing. Christ has declared a state of emergency.
So now what does Joaquin mean again? Which, you know,
God's
only
judgment.
only highly melanated folks name their child that, to my knowledge.
Yes, it means God's judgment.
Whoa, I wonder, I forgot who names those hurricanes. Dang, somebody told me some time ago who names them. But, okay, well, whoever named that, y'all got that right on the money. Good for you, boo-boo.
Yes, they did. Yep. And they had Chris Christie declare a state of emergency.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
I just want to share that. That's it.
Well, thank you, sis. Okay, well, we're going to bring Brother Wendell on. I see him. Brother Tahuti, I'm trying to find you. Folks are starting to line up, so just hit me up via text if you're on the line, and we'll bring you on. Okay, Brother Wendell, I'm going to get to you. There you are. You shifted there. Okay, I'm going to open your line. Brother, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Peace and love, beloved.
How y'all doing tonight?
We're well. Excited to, you know, get it cracking, because there's a lot going on.
I hear you now. the Pope boiled it like it's hot, didn't he? He didn't drop it like it's hot. He boiled it like it's hot. He didn't even touch down and down before he was back on that thing getting out of there.
Yeah, and when, Sis Gwen was describing it, I just pictured dude, the plane stepping down, and he had his little fanny pack on, jumped off the plane and hit the other one running. He ran across the tarmac, jumped on the other one, just to say he touched his soil on Dallas ground. Stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
can't brush it.
He know he's fried.
Yeah, stop playing, because if you was about it, you was supposed to meet with Dr. Henderson head on. You want me to come to your house? You wanted me to play IHOP? What?
He's supposed to spend the night in there and make sure everything done.
Exactly.
I bet he wasn't in there in 10 minutes.
Exactly. But like, you better stop playing, because we far from playing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So we are on. I'm gonna start with the Book of Enoch. So we're gonna do the Book of Enoch. Then we're gonna pause there. Then Sis Saheed is gonna do a breakdown of the Terra Papers, and then it folds in perfectly with the El Holy Tablets. But before we get into El Holy Tablets, we promise you all we're going to also fold in Yakub, because it's about time for us to fold that in, because in El Holy Tablets they're starting to talk about grafting and DNA slicing. So that's how we're going to roll with this. So here is the Book of Enoch. So if you all remember, we left off, it was hot too last week. So go check that out. And it blended so well with Dr. Henderson was talking about. I was literally sitting here shaking like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Hey, it's even hotter. I found out some information from last week. Oh, it's even hotter than that.
Oh. Let me do a real quick recap. We left off, y'all, and if you didn't catch that show, if you haven't caught any of these, go back from one. Go back from the first creation story 1 and get caught up. So, because I'm telling you, y'all.
Hey, look, I hate to be a bearer of bad news, but the good news is it's going to take a while to get through this.
Well, you know what, Sis Saheed said,
so guess what?
When are we stopping? I said, we stopping when we run into a dry spot. I said, but we
ain't no dry spot.
I know.
Ain't no dry spot. Because look, I think we discussed it a little bit on the last call. Those tablets, when you run into another lane, you gotta stop everything and find out what is this and what role they play. And I mean, it's obvious. I'm just not getting into the 4th tablet of the Lost Book of Enoch, and that thing there is just cranking up.
Yeah. That's right. And I forgot to mention, family, that Brother Wendell, he's doing the Inky's tablet. So
that thing there is, that thing is cranking up. I'm telling you, like we said in the country, it's getting gooder and gooder.
So, all right, so Sis, you're going to go ahead on and do the recap. So we'll yield and let you go ahead on.
Okay. So, I'm just going to do a little brief recap. I'm going to do this reading called The Hidden History. It's a summary of the Terra Papers. I'm going to read this section. The story of man's creation. In our galaxy are billions of star beings. Humanoid races are the rule, not the exception. These races descended from many life forms, reptiles, insects, dinosaurs, birds, and other forms mankind cannot begin to imagine. One of the oldest star races in this sector of the universe is the reptilian Arion, which descended from dinosaur ancestors in the star system of Orion. Ruled by queens, They created the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Arian warriors were unmatched for ferocity and bravery, and the Arian Empire was unmatched in power and size. Millions of years of countless battles had allowed this empire to develop advanced war strategies. Among these, the Arian practiced conditioning or reprogramming to control conquered populations and make them assets rather than liabilities. Enemies became obedient servants of the reptilian queen's throne. In this way, the Arians eliminated resistance. An unexpected evolution of another race in the star system Sirius posed a threat to the empire. Though not as old or as advanced as the reptilians, the warriors of the Canis Empire, a dog-like race similar to wolves, made up for any lack of their fierceness. Even the most disciplined Arian warriors feared these ferocious, barbaric Syrian warriors who stopped to devour the flesh of their enemies on the battlefield. Rapid advancement of the Syrian warriors threatened the existence of the Arian Empire. As a result, the queens approached the Syrian kings to offer an alliance. A treaty was agreed upon that delineated which sectors of the galaxy each empire was to rule, and for a time, the warriors of both empires fought side by side. With the birth of a new star system, the Syrian king was quick to claim it. As the Syrians began to exploit its resources, this new system became an outpost for both the Arian and Syrian empires, and the power and wealth of both continued to grow. But eventually, war broke out again, this time among rival Syrian kings. In the end, Arian forces joined King Anu. Entire worlds held by opposition were totally destroyed, including their moons and colonies. Much later, King An sent his son, Prince Ea, and daughter, Prince Ninhursag, both genetic scientists, to rebuild the destroyed world of Eridu. Once again, tap into the valuable and much-needed resources found there. They successfully restored the atmosphere, refilled the seas with life, recreated plants, trees, flowers, and hybridized many different kinds of creatures. Planet Eridu, Earth, was reborn. New creatures were produced to inhabit the planet. One such creature was Adamus, was an eight-beast hybrid whose only purpose was to serve and to slave in the fields and mines. But this beast was different from the others. It could understand orders and communicate. Princess Ninhursag had genetically engineered the eight-beast hybrid by using her own DNA. The beast grew in intelligence and began to teach his own, quickly multiplying offspring. When another species of genetically engineered workers, underground, dwelling Shetty lizards, revolted and seized power, the ruling star beings fled from the planet. With the opposition out of the way, the Shetty used mind control, programming techniques they learned from their masters to alter the memories of the remaining star being descendants. Mankind's knowledge of star beings was replaced with myths and legends. And I'm going to stop right there.
Wow.
And the powerful struggle goes on.
Wow. So now when we get into the El Holy Tablet, you are going to see direct correlation to what the Terra Papers says. And I know, Brother Wendell, Inky, I'm sure you have some deep information on how Inky plays into that as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so, man, this thing that went, look, this thing that took a whole.
I know.
Life of
The
its
rabbit
own.
hole, the rabbit hole just gets deeper and deeper.
It is. Look, what's so fascinating about the Lost Book of Enki is, I mean, the fourth tablet, they haven't even got to the part where he did the creation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's off the chain because it connects to some stuff that we've seen and been wondering what happened and who put that there, and you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But this thing connected, Doc, man. I'll tell you about it. It's crazy, man. I'm loving it though.
Got you. Okay, so we're gonna get into the Book of Enoch, and then we're gonna do Yacub, because that ties directly into what Sis Zahida was saying in the Terra Papers, with them doing the DNA slicing and grafting, and then the El Holy Tablets gets into that. So we left off in the Book of Enoch. The last books that we read went over the Most High Highest, Father Yah, passing down the judgment on the fallen angels for basically mating with women on earth and having offspring, which is known as the Nephilim. Okay, so he passed down the judgment. So now we're in the Book of Enoch 5, and then it says, and the title of this is, shoot, I should have wrote it down. My bad, I didn't write it down. Sorry about that, family. I think it's Enoch meets the Holy Watchers. I think that's the title of it. Enoch meets the Holy Watchers. Okay. All right, so it starts off by saying how Enoch disappeared and none of the sons of men knew where he was hidden, or they didn't know what had happened to him. So it was saying that the watchers, this is Enoch, said that the watchers called to me and said, Enoch, scribe of righteousness, go and inform the watchers of heaven who have left the high heaven and the holy eternal place, and have corrupted themselves with women, and have done as the sons of men do, and have taken wives for themselves, and have been completely corrupted on earth, that they will not have peace on earth nor forgiveness. They will not rejoice in their sons. They will watch their sons slaughter. They will mourn, and they will petition forever. But they have neither mercy nor peace. Okay, so now as I'm reading this, the first thing that came to my mind was George Mario asking for prayer. Ain't gonna happen. Okay. So then it goes on to say, y'all, Enoch went to Azazel. Now remember, Azazel, we talked about him last week, how he is a fallen angel, and today he is represented by the goat. So you see like the half man, half goat. That represents Azazel, but what he did, he taught men how to make swords out of metal and jewelry and all of that, and taught them how to fight. And once he kind of gave that knowledge of metals and other secrets, life on the planet changed for the worse. It was, a lot of corruption, a lot of bloodshed. Okay, so that's the story on Dude, in case you didn't remember. So Enoch went to Azazel and said, you will not have peace. Get ready, y'all, because the words in here blew a sister's wig back.
Oh, my gosh.
A severe sentence has come out against you, that you should be bound, and you will have neither rest nor mercy for the granting of any petition, because of the wrong which you have taught, and because of all the works of blasphemy and wrong and sin which you have shown to the sons of men. Okay, so that pretty much says, I don't care how many petitions you write, it ain't going to happen. You went and taught man. Then on top of that, you was talking out the side of your neck, blaspheming at that. So you don't have nothing coming. Okay. So then it says, and when I spoke to them all together. So now this is the key, family. Peep what he's saying. He was talking to Azazel, and when last week I broke down, because the book of Enoch, this is why they kept this book from us, you all, because it spells everything out perfectly. The book breaks down who the leading fallen angels are. And it even broke down what powers they had and how they were teaching man certain powers. So that's why when Enoch was telling Azazel about himself and his sentence, they made sure that they let you know in this book that, and when I spoke to them all together, so it just wasn't him. All of them was sitting there getting this information.
Everybody.
They were all afraid, fear, and trembling seized them.
Ooh, they went into seizures.
Okay, so that sounded familiar with last week what Dr. Henderson was saying. Oh, they know. And they tremble when they hear the voice. Okay? So, this is Enoch still again, y'all. They asked me to write a record of petition so they might receive forgiveness and take a record of their petition up to the Lord in heaven. For they were not able from then on to speak, and they did not raise their eyes to heaven out of shame for their sins, for which they have been condemned.
That's why he was crying, huh?
Girl, you know, I was like, girl, I was shaking when I was reading this. I'm like, see, now I get it. You gonna try to sit up and play games? I already know. So, I just want to remind the family, when we read the book of Enoch last week, the chapters, remember when Father Yah said, when he was breaking it down, when he was talking to the little angel, because remember, first it was the angels that was like, oh, they down up in, are they clowning on earth? The fallen angels clowning. So they had to write up their little report and take it to the Father, although the Father already knew, but the angels, as I said again, they got their work to do. They ain't sitting around eating bonbons. So they had to write up their report, bring the Father, and he was like, oh, okay. Yeah, all right, so this is their sentence. So last week it was Father giving the sentence of the fallen angels to the angels in heaven. So he said back then, when he gave the sentence, that now they gonna come and ask for forgiveness. He said this to the angels, and sure enough, here Enoch was giving them their sentence, and they come and asking Enoch, well, can you write something up for us? Can you write up a petition and take it back? So again, it was already predicted. He already knew what they was going to do. So Enoch, he went on and wrote out their little petition in regards to their spirits and their deeds. I would have loved to see that petition. Oh, I would love to see what they was claiming. So he wrote up their petition in regards to their spirit and their deeds so they could obtain absolution and forbearance, which is basically forgiveness. Okay. So then I said, I got to look up this definition of the word petition because it just keeps coming up. And it's also used in the U.S. corporation administration courts. So here's what the definition of petition means. It is a written application from a person or persons to some governing body or public official asking that some authority be exercised to grant relief, favors, or privileges. A formal application made to a court in writing that requests actions on a certain matter. Okay?
Yes.
So I'm reading that to you all to let you know they didn't just come up with these words on their own. This stuff goes back really far, and it's deep. So now that's what they call themselves writing up this petition to the Most High Highest. Okay. So now Enoch, now remember, because Enoch is a holy and righteous man, so he was summoned by the Most High Highest. The angels went to him to tell him to go on to Azazel and the fallen angels in them to give them their sentence, this, that, and the third. So they like, oh, crap, scared out of their mind, crying, I'm sure, and all that. So they asked him to write up this petition. So he wrote the little stuff up. So Enoch had a dream, and it was a vision of wrath. And it says that I should speak to the sons of heaven and reprove them. He woke up and he went to them. This is where it's getting deep, y'all. They were all gathered and mourning in Ubelziel. That is between Lebanon and Sinir. Their faces were covered. So I goes up, I pulls up a map. I got to see what area that is. So let's discuss what's between Lebanon. Lebanon is between Egypt and Syria.
Oh, I knew you was going to say that.
And Israel. Okay, so now it has been rumored in the metaphysic community. You will hear Dr. Gilbert Blair speak on it. You will hear Dr. Phil Valentine speak on it. You will hear Bobby Hemmett speak on it, how in Syria there was remains of the giants found there. And that supposedly it was giants that were chained up and bound in Syria. Okay? So now remember.
The immortal.
Exactly. So remember, Enoch, he went to give them this little information, and they chilling right in Lebanon. If you pull up a map, those areas are so close. And Syria is right next to it. And that's where they've claimed all of these remains have been found, just like in Iraq. They're claiming that they found special weapons there, time machines, etc., etc. So it is no accident, family, why they are battling in Syria. That ain't no accident.
Not at all.
So when I just saw this, you know, as we were reading, I was doing the research on this chapter, and I saw this was the area where the fallen angels and the Nephilim, which are their children, were. I'm like, oh, that's why it's never any rest in that area. That is why now Syria is constantly in the news. Okay. So, I'm sorry, sis, you got something on that?
No, I'm just exhaling. That's all.
Girl,
I want to say something.
Go ahead, brother.
That area, Syria, Iraq, and all that area there, that is a very important area on this planet. I'm telling you. And the more I research and look up this and that, it's confirming the work that Sitchin did.
Zachariah Sitchin.
It confirms a lot of his work.
Yes, because he discussed that too. He absolutely discussed that area. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now
that area is where the Anunnaki came.
See, get out of my head. One man.
Absolutely,
yes.
they did.
Yes.
That's what they came and set up. They came and set up settlements and start mining gold, and they were doing the whole nine right there.
But it has been also where the Nephilim, got a home base too in Africa.
Right.
Because what's his name? Mutwa. He's transitioning now.
Credo Mutwa.
Yes.
I've been on Credo. I found Credo about 4 or 5 years ago.
He was telling it.
That
people.
That shaman ain't no joke.
No, he wasn't.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so family. So that's what's going on in that area, and in our lifetime, this time around, and I know some of you will know what I mean by that. That's why there's no rest in that area. So anytime you hear about something physical going on, there's always a spiritual component behind it. Always a spiritual component. So that's what the spiritual component behind that is. Okay. So Enoch told them of his vision. So now remember, he in Lebanon telling the fallen angels, Azazel and them, his vision. And he began to speak these words to reprieve the watchers of heaven. Who, so I made a note that remember in the Terra Papers and in the El Holy tablets, they discuss who the watchers are. And so remember in the, I don't know if it was Terra Papers or El Holy tablets, but the watchers, remember, Anu placed his son in Leo over the watchers. Okay, so the watchers were comprised of, they were all angels, but comprised of angels that were warriors, this, that, and the third. And so we're going to get into some other stuff when we get into the tablets of what the watchers were doing. Okay, so I did want to make note of that. Okay, so then it goes into book, the 6th book, and it's called the Book of Reproof. And so it said, so this is Enoch. He back on still reading them they little sentence. It said, Enoch explained to Azazel and them that this sentence is coming from the Great One. He has given men their mouth so they might speak with it and understand it with their hearts. He created it. Okay? So he has created and appointed men to understand the word of knowledge. So he created and appointed me to reprove the watchers, the Son of Heaven. He told them their petition would not be granted. So we knew that back a couple of chapters ago when the Most High Highest, Father anew, Yahweh, had told the angels they gonna come asking for forgiveness, but they ain't getting it. So now we all the way down to Enoch telling them, well, I gave y'all a little paperwork, and he said it's not going to be granted. And so it says all the days of eternity and complete judgment has been decreed against you.
Complete.
You will not have peace. So Enoch went on to explain to them how he traveled to get the answer or get or his vision that he had. So he had to travel to go give this answer, give this petition. And he explained how he got there. He was saying that he was carried by a storm, and he went through several houses before he got to the great one. Okay, so this is my little 2 cents. As I'm researching this and reading it, it instantly popped in my mind that when he saw the many houses, he was able to enter them. And so what came in my mind, and it doesn't necessarily mean this was the case, but this is what my spirit felt, that those were the houses of the different orders or the spiritual levels that he had to travel through, or the different dimensions that he had to travel through in order to get to the great one. Okay. So he said, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brother Wendell.
I have a question, or a comment that will kind of thought provoking. Could those houses also be the houses of the zodiac?
Very well could be. Very well could be. Absolutely, they could be.
Yeah. Which could mean he was traveling interdimensionally too.
Exactly, because if you know the zodiacs, also remember the zodiacs, they do represent houses, like you said, brother, but they also represent the different ages that we go through. So meaning the Bronze Age, the Golden Age, the this age. So absolutely it could have been that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because when we go into the different houses, we are shifting to different energies and frequencies, absolutely, and dimensions, absolutely.
That's just something to put out there to let the listeners, see how deep this stuff really is.
It's deep. I'm glad you brought that up. I never would have thought of it like that. But you know what? That makes sense.
Hey. We've had the proof with these names that we're talking about the same thing.
It's the same thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, we just have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. So he says, and I looked and I saw in it a high throne, and its appearance was like ice, and its surrounding like the shining sun, and the sound of the cherubim. Okay, so I'm giving a definition of cherubim because I went and looked it up to make sure I was overstanding it properly. A cherubim, they are supernatural creatures associated with the throne of God. Okay, so now Enoch says, and from underneath the high throne there flowed out rivers of fire, so that it was impossible to look at it. And he who is great in glory sat upon it, and his raiment was brighter than the sun, whiter than any snow. Now, this what blew my wig back. And no angel could enter and at the appearance of the face of him who is honored and praised, no creature of the flesh could look. Okay, so I made a note that to me that meant that you needed to be in a spiritual mode. You had to be on your spiritual side, and you had to be in the order. Because remember, he had to pass through different houses. He had to pass through, but when he got to the big house,
the holiest of holy,
right, the holiest of the holy, he couldn't pass through there. So now, peep game people, if anybody studied Kemetic sciences or mythology or however you want to say it, even back then you had the temples and you had different doorways to them temples, and depending on your level was depending on how far you can go in that temple. And when you got to the most sacred temple, the temple furthest in the back and the most grand temple, only the holiest of the high priest scientists were allowed in that temple. So same concept. We know where they got it. As above, so below. Okay. Right. So now this is Enoch still explaining his journey. He said a sea of fire burnt around him, and a great fire stood in front of him, and none of those around him came near to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, but he needed no holy counsel. And the holy ones who were near to him did not leave by night or day, and did not depart from him. So that was deep, explaining that throne, y'all. I was like, whoa, that's deep. So Enoch said he was scared and he was trembling and he was covering his face. And I could see that. I would have been scared out of my wits too. So he said that the Most High Highest said, come here, Enoch, to my holy word. The Most High Highest lifted Enoch up and brought him near the door. Because remember I said he couldn't get to this last house. So as he's explaining the throne, he on the other side of the door looking at this. So he was lifted up in the air and levitated near the door. And so Enoch was still looking down. And then the Most High Highest said, here, do not be afraid. Enoch, your righteousness, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness, come here and hear my voice. So he said, go tell the watchers of heaven who sent to petition on their behalf. You are to petition on behalf of men, not men on behalf of you. Why have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven and lain with women and become unclean with the daughters of men and taken wives for yourselves and done as the sons of the earth and begotten giant sons? So you know I got to stop right here and back it up right there. Okay, so then poor Enoch, I know he was shaking. Baby, I know you was shaking because I would have been breaking down, crying, all of that boo-hooing. I had to get myself together, this, that, and the third. So, you know, once he told him, it's okay, beloved, it's okay. You know, you cool. Right. You know, I just need you to get this message back to these heathens. Go tell the watchers of heaven, because remember, the fallen angels were also watchers. but they were the disagreeable ones, as Dr. York called them, that decided they want to do their own thing and split. So that's why the Most High Highest is calling them the Watchers of Heaven. So he's telling them basically, you had the audacity to send a man to petition for you when your job is to get petition on behalf of men. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, you out of order.
And then in addition to that, you turns around and gonna kick it with the women, make them become unclean, take wives, and then begat sons.
And so
then,
sis,
sorry, go ahead, sis.
Can you elaborate about the unclean part? Because it don't just mean you got dirt on your face and you ain't washed up.
Well, the unclean part was the fact that, and I had to really think about this, and then as I share, I'm about to get to a part soon on a revelation that I had. I don't want to reveal it now, but he's saying unclean because of the fact that they broke a serious universal law, because they were not supposed to be mixing seed or relations like Grandma and them used to say. Relations with men or women, rather. They weren't supposed to be doing it. So that's what made them unclean.
Because they dirtied the bloodline, the royal bloodline.
Exactly.
That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that they became unclean.
Absolutely. It's that, and then it's going to be something else. I'm going to reveal it, but exactly. Okay. So that's what made it unclean, because it's like you down there dipping and dabbing, and you dipping and dabbing, and exactly, not the proper bloodline, plus you breaking universal laws, dipping and dabbing with the spiritual being, holy being with man. And so I'm going to get to that real quick. So that's where the unclean comes from, but it's something a little deeper than that. I'll get to it.
Okay.
So it says, you were spiritual, holy, living an eternal life, but you became unclean upon the women and begot children through the blood of flesh, and lusted after the blood of men, and produce flesh and blood as they do, who die and are destroyed. So that goes back to what Sis just said about the bloodline. Who told you to go dip and dab like that?
Hard-headed.
So the Most High Highest said, and for this reason, because of the bloodline situation, and for this reason I gave men wives, so that they might sow seeds in them, and so that they might be born by them, so that deeds might be done on earth. So in other words, I had already set up a reproductive system. You weren't supposed to be involved in that. Okay.
Right. It was all because remember, in a couple of shows back, we reported that the whole procreation thing at first was systematic. It wasn't get who you want to get with and do what you want to do. No, it was control. It was a controlled environment.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And because when he says, so that deeds might be done on earth. So the deeds were the work that he had for man to do on earth. Okay. It says, but you formerly were spiritual, living an eternal, immortal life for all the generations of the world. For this reason, I did not arrange wives for you, because the dwelling of the spiritual ones is in heaven. And now the giants who were born from body and flesh will be called evil spirits, or the earth and on the earth will be their dwelling. So that bound the giants, the Nephilim, to the earth.
Okay.
And it says, and evil spirits came out from their flesh, because from above they were created. From the holy watchers was their origin and first foundation. Evil spirits they will be on earth, and spirits of the evil ones they will be called. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
And I was just thinking about, the Stargate. That's another reason for the wars too, I think, because they're trying to find exit out of here at these different points where there are portholes.
Right, but see, they want to sit up and try to play crazy, or maybe they didn't know. But that was supposedly part of 2012 too, because the portals were shut down for them. Not for the righteous, not for the angels, but it was shut down for them.
Exactly.
So that was also another reason why, according to some of the master teachers, why they stayed over in like Iraq. I know Iraq and Iran comes up a lot about having powerful portals or stargates there. And then supposedly they had got it, and they were for one time going back and forth. But that was shut down. But, people going to try to keep doing stuff thinking they going to get a different result, although it's already been ordered what's going to happen. Just like George Mario called himself using the 777, getting on the 200 jet, touching down in Dallas, getting off the plane, running onto another plane. It ain't none of that's going to work. But, yeah, that's what they've been trying to do, still use those stargates. Okay, so it says, Father Yah, he is still breaking it down to Enoch. He says that the dwellings of spirits in heaven is heaven. Spirits of earth is earth. But the spirits of the giants do wrong, corrupt, attack, fight, break on the earth, and cause sorrow. Okay, so I put a note that it sounds like he's pretty much telling them you all broke universal laws. You crossed those two worlds, and you weren't supposed to do that. And that is why the giants' behavior is out of control, because you went against universal laws. So in other words, you heard people say the term, such and so got some bad A kids. They a bad seed. Same concept. That's why their children are so out of control, because you broke the universal laws. You messed up the genetics. You call
watered it down.
Exactly. And so you essentially created a monster. Okay, so it says, he goes on to say, and the death of the giants, wherever the spirits have gone, I can't brush over this, and the death of the giants, wherever the spirits have gone out from their bodies, their flesh will be destroyed for the judgment. So I made a note. Is this Father's way of letting the watchers know that their offspring will not have the gift of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Is this why we hear about demons jumping into other humans' body?
Mm-hmm. And they have to do it in the midst of chaos.
Exactly. So
death and destruction.
Exactly, because remember, they're bound by earth. That's part of the curse. So meaning they can't leave earth. So if anybody want to know what I'm really talking about, if you've seen the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington,
mm-hmm.
What was the name of that spirit that kept jumping in and out of people?
Azazel.
Yeah. Azazel,
exactly.
That's right.
Was that not the spirit's name? And when would he jump in and out of people?
What? It had to be some tragic happen. I can't remember.
Well, when he wanted to do something evil, and then remember, when that person's flesh died, what did he do?
He found somebody else. Didn't he?
Also, you had to be
when that
also that host
exactly
would have to be within a certain range too.
So that is exactly that is the
sis. Hello.
Sis.
Hello.
Okay,
Hello?
we lost
Can
you
y'all
for a
hear
minute.
Me?
Yeah.
Did everybody get dropped?
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can y'all hear me?
Okay.
Can
it's
you
trying
hear
to straighten
me?
itself out.
Okay. Sorry, we must have really been hitting it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you all peep that movie, what it is saying, yes, Azazel went on to a.
We losing you, sis. We've lost you, sis.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, you back.
Okay, because I'll switch if I drop. So bottom line, family, this is where that's coming from. The curse is they're going to be destroyed by the other part of the curse is they're bound by earth. And they don't have eternity. So when we leave the flesh, we are eternal. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't jump into another host,
body,
that's it for them.
Ah.
But they are bound by earth. So this is the curse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, okay. Okay, so then Father goes on to say, thus they will be destroyed until the day of the great consummation is accomplished. Upon the great age, upon the watchers and the impious ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked up the word impious, and that means not showing respect or reverence, especially for a god. Okay. So, this the part I'm getting there, y'all. I'm going to blow your wig back. You were in heaven, but its secrets had not yet been revealed to you, and a worthless mystery you knew. This you made known to women in the hardness of your hearts. And through this mystery, the women and the men cause evil to increase on earth.
Oh, shit.
So let's break that down. I
Please
know,
do.
honey, I be trying to really stop cussing, y'all, but I had a few of them in here. I'm like, get the out of here in my mind. Yeah, this is deep, yeah. Yeah, so let me break this down, because I'm like, y'all just don't, Father, y'all got game. So he said, you were in heaven, but its secrets had not yet revealed to you. So in other words, you thinking you all that in a bag of tricks. But you didn't even know the secrets. What you did know was a worthless mystery.
A worthless
So in other words, exactly, you thinking you got it, and you don't.
33 degrees of worthless mystery.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you and even a worthless mystery, you turned around and you gave it to women out of spite. And then the worthless stuff that you passed down to them, you caused damage because you caused the men on the earth to start clowning and evil to increase. And so he said, because of that, you will not have peace. Okay, so now here's, family, where I'm going to explain to you. After I read that, I had to pause because I'm like, okay, that's where the curse happened, coming straight off the throne. Because remember, Enoch is standing at the doorway of the throne giving this information. So all of a sudden, a thought came in my head. And I started writing. At first I wrote, this is what their curse is. But I had this total thought in my head. As soon as I started writing this, I was in a building that was probably about 3,000 square feet. The lights instantly went out for the whole, the power totally went out in the building. And I sat there. I'm like, whoa. But I kept writing this thought down. I'm like, they ain't finna distract me. I'm getting this thought out. So then I wrote on here, is this when Father started the process of reincarnation and incarnation? And this allowed man the opportunity to atone for the evil that had been created on earth based on what the fallen angels had done. And the second part of that, because remember, it was man already on earth minding their business. The Watchers came down, corrupted them, had their children bring terror on them, and taught them some of the jacked up mysteries and war and all of that. So this thought came to my mind that maybe that's when the door opened for reincarnation for man, to give man an opportunity to grow their souls, to keep coming back, to learn the lessons that they needed to learn. Also, was this when he opened up the gateway for incarnation? So meaning, so since you want to be nickel so-and-so slick, I'm about to send the other people down. I'm going to send the other people down from the different galaxies that's closest. So the righteous, I'm going to send them down, and some of them are going to incarnate. Because now they going to be on the planet to help balance it out. Okay? So then I said that, you know, he opened up that incarnation, reincarnation to bring us from heaven to be the light and protectors of mankind. Now, here's the catch with that, though. When we returned, we would have forgotten where we came from because they don't want any secrets of heaven revealed. That was part of the deal. So those of us that are returning incarnating, coming down here with a task to be that bearer of light and protectors of mankind. When we were in heaven, before we came down, we had the spiritual contract. We knew when we got here, you're going to forget everything. We got to do it this way, because the Watchers then already set up on they so-and-so's and messed everything up. So we can't let y'all go back with this type of powerful knowledge here. That is part of the deal. So that was the 2 books, family, out of the book of Enoch. So I'll yield and let you all put something on it.
Yeah, because I had a book some time ago, and I was reading how the spirit comes into the body before the birth, and how the spirit gets to choose the parents for their journey.
Absolutely.
You know, they get to choose it. They get to choose the parents that come through, and for their particular journey and their particular task. And we forget coming through. And it was said that part above our lip, the indentation is what the Creator touched to make us forget. You know, and you try to remember.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people touch that part or touch the side of their temple, you know. Yeah, I read that. That makes sense.
Interesting. Well, and I mean, again, family, that was just something that hit my spirit so hard when I was reading, you know, through the direct words coming off that throne from Father. And again, it was so powerful that immediately that whole building's over probably 5,000 square feet building, power just straight up cut. So I knew it had to be something there. So that's what I got out of those 2 books. So before we move on, Brother Wendell, did you want to put something on it before we get into Yacub and the El Holy Tablets?
Now, I mentioned it briefly a little while ago, but I didn't want to get ahead of the conversation. Last week, occasionally what I'll do is I'll just turn on YouTube sometime and just, while I'm doing something, just listen, because they don't tell you what you might run up on. And I ran across a brother by the name of Ross Ben. And yeah, I went to his website and everything and checked him out, and I listened to one of his calls on Blog Talk Radio. It had a link on his site to one of his calls about the books of Enoch. Now, what this brother studied is the same type of stuff that we study, and he mentioned a lot about the Anunnaki, or the Anunnaki. And he was talking about the book of Enoch, and he said, people don't know this, but there's actually 3 books of Enoch. 1 Enoch, 2 Enoch, 3 Enoch. So it's a whole lot of information.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find those books, because I'm telling you, this is only I think only four chapters in, and it's so deep. It literally gives me chills, because it really brings together a lot of pieces, and it makes sense why they hid this book, because it can't get no plainer. It's a very easy read. It can't get no plainer. It ain't beating around the bush. It's not in code. And more importantly, it calls them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, the Anunnaki, the Enoch, it's a lot going on right there.
Absolutely.
There's a lot going on, and they don't want us to find out what's happening with that.
Exactly, but too late. The gateway was opened for us. This is the age, and it is what it is. So, nothing's going to be hidden anymore. They knew this day was coming. So, they can try to keep going in and out on this line if they want to on me. I'm still going to get through.
That's right.
So, okay, family. So now we're going to get into the El Holy Tablets. But before we get into that, we left off with that where Dr. York was speaking of how they were doing some human slicing or gene slicing on the planet of Mars. And so he started talking about grafting, and he talked about the Greys, because he was talking about how the Greys were created and how they were created for the sole purpose of going around in our solar system looking for gold to repair the atmosphere of Risk, the planet Risk. And so planet Risk is where Dr. York is saying where Father Anu, and if you've been studying with us over this series, Anu is equal to Yahweh. They don't say that in the Terra Papers, they just say Anu, but Dr. York in the El Holy Tablets breaks down that Anu is Yahweh, and he breaks down Yahwehnians, he breaks all of that down. So planet Risk, he explains, is the planet where Anu and or heaven per se, that's the galaxy where that is. And so a war had broke out and the atmosphere of the planet got damaged. So the Greys were, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
They messed up all the atmospheres on the planet, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They totally messed it up because they had to evacuate.
They had nuclear weapons.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Scalar technology. Absolutely.
I mean, they had some stuff off the chain.
Absolutely. They had scalar technology that damaged that atmosphere, and he even said they had what they call aerosol today. So they had some aerosol weapon which damaged the ozone layer. So gold was what could repair that. And our particular solar system had a lot of it, and particularly Tiamat, or what we know today as Earth. And so in the meantime, the Greys were created to go there to mine for the gold. And so, but the experiments to create different species and beings was happening on Mars. And so you heard Sis in the Terra Papers talk about how, and who were the two people, who were the scientists, Sis, that were responsible for doing the genetics?
It was EA and his sister. Yeah.
So it was Inky and his sister.
Inky.
I know her name starts with like a N-I-N something like that.
It's let me see if I can pronounce it. Let me find it. It was
her
name was Ninher Sag. According to the Terra Papers, it might be another name because in the Terra Papers, EA he had another name. Marduk he was Amun Ra. So
Nenema. Yeah. He changed his names a lot. Nintu. Nurture.
Right. Right. And I do know when I saw her name, I've seen it spelled different ways, and I saw it spelled like Ninti, and when somebody else pronounced it, it was like Nenti, something like that. And I'm like, that's where they get that Illuminati. They're giving homage to part of her name, because remember, Illuminati means high scientist. and that's what she is. So I found that interesting, how that word kind of mixed with how scientists and her being the geneticist that she is. So with that said, we promised you guys that we were going to introduce to you another concept called Yakub. And the story of Yakub is also about geneticists. And it is talking specifically on how the different races were created on this planet, and how Yakub was directly involved in that, and how he got that knowledge. So now these videos are pretty long. I had to split them up. So we're going to do the first 15 minutes now, and then over the next week we'll keep folding in the Yakub, so you'll understand too that as above, as you know, they were doing this in the heavens, that's how it made it down on this planet with this gene slicing and all of that. So I'm going to start the video. Let me look for it, family. No, I got it here. Oh, and the reference for this, if you don't want to have to wait on us to get to it, it is on YouTube, and it's a brother that has a channel called the Big Head Scientist, and he also studied under Dr. York. He is a Nubian. Okay, so I do want to put that out there as well. You can go on YouTube and pull this video yourself. So we're going to get started, and Dream Team, mute yourselves out so we won't have any feedback.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah, you know I'm clowning. I almost deleted the doggone file. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Don't do it.
Here we go. I know, right? Here we go.
You're true.
Okay, here we go.
Thousands of years ago, on this planet we call Earth, our planet was visited by various groups of extraterrestrial humanoid beings. These extraterrestrial humanoid beings had to leave their planet and seek refuge here on Earth because their home planet had been destroyed by evil. When these extraterrestrial humanoid beings arrived on Earth, they chose to take residence inside the center of the Earth, because the surface of the Earth was inhabited by human beings. At this point in time in Earth's history, the human beings who lived on the surface of the Earth were all of one tribe, the Ebenoid tribe. Since they live inside the Earth, these extraterrestrial beings have now become interterrestrial beings. The center of the Earth where these interterrestrial beings reside also contains an inner sun. The inner Earth has been called by a variety of names by cultures around the world, including Shambhala by Buddhists, Agartha by Tibetans, Kurnuji by the ancient Mesopotamians, the Duat or Aminta by the ancient Egyptians, Hades or the underworld by Europeans, Xibalba by the Mayans, and in modern times, the concept of the inner Earth has given rise to what is called the Hollow Earth theory. Unbeknownst to many human beings, the activities of these beings which reside inside the Earth has affected the course of human history and human development. The first and most noble of the beings which resides inside the Earth is called the Yacub. Compared to human beings, the Yacub would be considered geniuses with exceptional intelligence, and telepathic and telekinetic abilities. The Yacub have a dark brown skin complexion. They are between 5 feet to 7 feet tall, and their heads, brains, and cranial capacity is much wider and larger than the average human. The Yacub come to the Earth's surface occasionally to teach and to trade with certain tribes of human beings. The teachings of the Yacub are so profound that when they come to the Earth's surface to teach, they are often called deities, gods, priests, prophets, messengers, and seers, and because of this fact, the Yacub have strict laws which limit the interaction of Yacub tribal members' contact with the humans on the surface. The Yacub commonly interact and have mixed in with the surface world humans called the Danakil or Danakil, also known as the Afar people, in present-day Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Somalia. The chief of the Yacub is named King Fuelkor, and his daughter is named Princess Radilia, and two of his brothers are named Amo and Yashak, who has always been jealous of his brother King Fuelkor. King Fuelkor's brother Amo had fallen in love with a surface-dwelling human female, and he would sneak to the surface world to visit her, and would also pass himself off to the surface-dwelling humans as a psychic and a magician, and for these acts, Amo was exiled to live on the surface, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. As long as the people in the inner earth spent most of their life in the inner earth, then they will not die. However, to be exiled to the surface world means a person from inner earth will eventually die like the mortals on the surface. In the caverns adjacent to the Yacub, resides another group of nobles called the Sinin. The Sinin are also highly intelligent, but also have a fighting spirit. The Sinin are between 5 feet to 7 feet tall and have a variety of complexions from yellow to brown, and they are hairless and are most noted for their cone-shaped heads. The Sinin commonly interact and have mixed with surface world humans including the ancient Egyptians, the Olmecs in present-day Central America, the Mangatob people in the African Congo, and the Paracas people in Peru. The chief of the Sinin is named King Lamsa, and his daughter is named Princess Lucina, and his son is named Prince Atif. One of the wretched group of beings which resides inside the earth is called the Samin. The Samin are grotesquely obese, pale, with long elephant-like noses, and are very negative and aggressive. The Samin were actually the manifested evil grafted out of the Sinin on their home world prior to these beings arriving on earth. Since the Samin were grafted out of the Sinin, it is the responsibility of the Sinin to police and keep in check the evil activities of the Samin. It is said that an American named Richard Sharpshaver encountered the Sinin and called them the Turos, meaning interrogative robot, and he also encountered the Samin and called them Duros, meaning detrimental robot. One day, the wretched Samin raided and invaded the village of the Yacub, stealing food and terrorizing the Yacub family. When King Fuelkor found out about this invasion by the Samin, he sent a telepathic message to King Lamsa stating that the Sinin has neglected their responsibility to keep the Samin in check, because the Samin were currently raiding and invading the village of the Yacub. Upon receiving the telepathic message from King Fuelkor, King Lamsa went with his brethren to the caverns of the Yacub to stop the invasion by the Samin and to drive the Samin back to whence they came. After driving the Samin away from the lands of the Yacub, King Lamsa apologized to King Fuelkor, but tension remained between the Yacub and the Sinin for some time after the incident. In order to make peace between the Yacub and the Sinin, King Lamsa offered his daughter Princess Lucina to be a wife of King Fuelkor. King Fuelkor accepted the peace offering from King Lamsa, and in turn offered his daughter Princess Radilia to be the wife of King Lamsa's son Prince Atif, as was the custom, and there was peace in the land for some time between the two tribes of the Yacub and the Sinin. However, King Lamsa's daughter Princess Lucina was angered and outraged because she did not want her father to give her away to be the wife of the Yacub King Fuelkor. Princess Lucina felt like an outcast and out of place living amongst the Yacub people, and she did not like living by the strict laws of the Yacub people. Princess Lucina always wanted to marry a man from her own people the Sinin, and she did not want to be married to a Yacub man. One day Princess Lucina, now the unhappy wife of King Fuelkor, met Yashak, the jealous brother of King Fuelkor, and they conspired together based on their hatred for King Fuelkor to have an illicit sexual affair together behind the back of King Fuelkor. Princess Lucina and Yashak would travel to the surface world to the home of Emo, the exiled brother of King Fuelkor and Yashak, and it is here where they would have their illicit affair. This affair between Princess Lucina and Yashak went on for months with them sneaking back and forth from the inner earth to the surface world, and eventually Princess Lucina became pregnant. In her pregnant state, Princess Lucina would not return to the land of the inner earth, but would remain at the home of Emo, and Yashak would stay with her. It was here in the home of Emo, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, where the child Yakub was born to Yashak and Princess Lucina. The child Yakub, being part Yacub and part Sinin, had an enormous head the size of 2 men, and he also had 2 brains. Knowing that they could not return to the inner earth because their affair had now produced a child, Yashak and Princess Lucina decided to live and raise the baby Yakub for 5 years in the home of Emo, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Yakub's father Yashak would work as a scientist and a priest amongst the humans on the surface, calling himself by the title Mornuaken, the last high priest. Back in inner earth, Yashak and Princess Lucina had been missing for years, and eventually it was found out by King Fuelkor about the affair between his wife Princess Lucina and his brother Yashak. King Fuqur ordered his soldiers to go to the home of his brother Emo and arrest Yashak for his crime, and according to the laws of the Shayug, Yashak was put to death. Princess Lucina's life was spared because she now had a child to take care of, but her punishment was to remain exiled to the surface world living in the home of Emo, and to never return to inner earth. Depressed about her inability to return home, overwhelmed by her new responsibility to raise a child, and saddened by the death of her lover Yashak, Princess Lucina kills herself by committing suicide. The 5-year-old child Yakub, now an orphan, is raised by his uncle Emo, and the child Yakub is emotionally disturbed and rebellious because of the death of his parents. The child Yakub grows to hate his people the Shayug, and he also grows to hate all dark-complexioned people because he blames them for the death of his parents. The child Yakub desires to have his revenge when he grows up. Yakub starts school at the age of 4, and is teased and mocked about the size of his head by the surface-dwelling human children. This mockery and teasing about the size of his head that Yakub experienced as a child created low self-esteem, and further infuriated the already deranged Yakub, fueling his desire for revenge. Yakub's uncle Emo would tell Yakub stories about the beings in the inner earth and how the Samin were the manifestation of the evil grafted out of Yakub's mother's family the Sinin. One day, when Yakub was 6 years old, he was playing with 2 steel magnets in the home of his uncle Emo, and Yakub noticed the magnetic power of attraction and repulsion that unlike attracts, and like repels. By observing this, Yakub was inspired with a determined idea to create a tribe unlike any of the people on the surface of the planet, and this unlike tribe would be weak and wicked, and attract the other tribes on the surface of the planet, and rule over them with the knowledge of tricks and lies for 6,000 years. Upon coming to this realization, Yakub looked up at his uncle Emo and said, "Uncle, when I get to be an old man, I am going to make a people who shall rule you." Uncle Emo said, "What will you make?" "Someone to make mischief and cause bloodshed in the land." Yakub responded to his uncle Emo by saying, "Nevertheless, uncle, I know that which you do not know," and it was at that moment, the boy Yakub first came into the knowledge of just who he was, born to make trouble, break peace, kill and destroy, and be the enemy to the Ebenoid people of Earth. Yakub knew in order to accomplish his plan he would have to study science, biology, and genetics. Yakub was a child prodigy in school, being exceptionally smarter than the surface-dwelling humans he was going to school with, and by the age of 18, Yakub had finished all of the colleges and universities of his nation. While in college, Yakub was mocked and teased being called the big head scientist. After graduating from the colleges and universities of his nation, Yakub began to preach a new doctrine to the people in the city. Yakub called his new doctrine Tricknology, and his holy book was called the Book of Tricknology of 120 Degrees. Yakub taught that if people followed his doctrine, then they would be able to rule the world for 6,000 years, and make slaves out of everyone else on the earth. Yakub made such impressions on the people that many people began following him. The children who once mocked and teased Yakub were now requesting to be part of what he was teaching. The girls who once laughed at Yakub were now women who desired him. As Yakub's teachings spread, he made more and more converts to his new doctrine, and the power of Yakub's doctrine began to intimidate the king of the surface-dwelling humans, who ordered to have Yakub and all of his followers thrown in prison. The police arrested all of Yakub's followers and put them in prison, and filled up all of the prison cells with Yakub's followers. However, there was not enough space to put all of Yakub's followers in jail, therefore there were still some people free who were spreading Yakub's teachings. The police notified the king that they did not have enough space for all of Yakub's followers, and at that point the king decided to go to Yakub's prison cell and negotiate a deal. The king went to visit Yakub in his prison cell, and the king said, "So you are Mr. Yakub?" Yakub said, "Yes, I am." The king said, "Yakub, I have come to see if we could work out some agreement that would bring about an end to this trouble. What would you suggest?" Yakub said to the king, "If you give me and my followers everything to start a civilization, and furnish us with money and other necessities of life for 20 years, I will take my followers and we will leave." The king was pleased with the deal offered by Yakub, and agreed to take care of them for 20 years, until Yakub's followers were able to go for themselves. After 20 years, the government began to make preparation for the exiling of Yakub and his followers. The king ordered everyone rounded up who was a believer in Yakub's doctrine, and they took them to the seaport and loaded them on ships. When Yakub and his followers departed, there were a total of 59,999 followers plus Yakub, making 60,000 total people on 100 ships. Yakub and his fleet of ships departed from an area 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and set sail on the Red Sea, and sailed all the way around the continent of Africa to go to their destination, which was the area which is currently called the island of Patmos, or Palam, in the Aegean Sea. While on the ship sailing around Africa to get to the area which is currently called the island of Patmos, Yakub began the second part of his plan, which was a eugenics human graftation experiment. Even though all of the people on the surface of the earth were of one tribe, the Ebenoid tribe, there was still some variation within the Ebenoid tribe, and Yakub began to highlight these differences, and Yakub taught these people that they were special, because Yakub planned to use them to graft his new tribe. Yakub developed his theory by studying his own genetics under the microscope and noticing that there were two different genes in him, one gene that was dark from his father Yishak's family, the Shayuk, and the other that was not dark from his mother Princess Lucina's family, the Sinin. Yakub began to have children with the women on this ship, and the babies which were born that were a lighter complexion he would spare their life, but the babies which were born which were of a darker complexion, Yakub would have thrown overboard into the ocean. Yakub felt if he could successfully separate the darker gene from the lighter gene, then he could graft the Ebenoid tribe into its last stage, which would be albinoid. Yakub planned to create a tribe of albinoids, which he discovered was weaker than the Ebenoid gene, which would be unalike, to rule the Ebenoid nation for 6,000 years. When Yakub's followers found out about his new wicked plan, and learned that he was killing and throwing babies overboard into the ocean, 95% of his followers lost their loyalty to Yakub, and abandoned his mission and jumped ship. As Yakub's fleet of ships sailed around Africa, people who lost loyalty to his mission would jump ship into the areas which are now Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Djibouti, Somalia, Mozambique, Namibia, Senegal, Morocco, and Tunisia. 10% of the original 60,000 of Yakub's followers betrayed Yakub and jumped ship. 85% of the original 60,000 of Yakub's followers jumped ship because they were confused why he would do such a horrible thing, leaving only 5% of the original 60,000 of Yakub's followers who actually made it to their destination of the island of Patmos in the Aegean Sea. As king on his island, Yakub set up birth control and Planned Parenthood laws which would contribute to his plan of negative eugenics and genocide to breed his albinoid tribe. Yakub made it a law that only the lighter complexion people could have children. People with darker complexions were put to death, and when children were born, nurses were ordered to have the darker babies killed by pricking the brains with a sharp needle as soon as the child's head was out of the mother, but the lighter babies were allowed to live. Yakub's aim was to kill and destroy the Ebenoid nation.
All right, family. So again, that was, I know, girl. Let me bring on Brother Wendell. That was from YouTube. If you want to listen to the complete thing, because that was just the first 15 minutes. If you don't want to wait until next week, you can go onto YouTube. That is called The Big Head Scientist. That's the story of Yakub. And the brother that did that, he studied under Dr. York, so he is a Nuwabian. So let me find Brother Wendell. I was getting feedback. Did he drop off? Okay, I see him. Bring him back on. Okay, brother, your line is open.
Yakub tripping, wasn't he?
He was mad.
he wasn't no big head side. He was mad side.
The mad scientist, huh?
Yeah. I watched that listened to that a couple of times. What I like to say about that is, I remember about a few calls back, I mentioned something about being inside the earth. There's beings inside this earth.
The inner earth.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, I was doing a study on old ancient maps, just finding whatever I could find, and there was quite a few videos at that time where people had found old maps that on these maps they always had they called them monsters, but I just call them different creatures all over the planet. They had them drawn in on these maps in certain areas.
Right.
And they were trying to figure out why do they have these creatures drawn in this area. I said, that's what's in the earth right there in that area.
Absolutely. And don't you just love how the brother broke down the different species that were in the earth, and sis, you know, you and myself, just on Tuesday we did a review of Star Wars, and we were talking about the different species in the bar kicking
in the bar, getting
drunk and pissy and cutting each other up. And so one of the beings that they described, the big head scientist described in his video, look and sound like Jabba the Hutt. If you have a copy of the El Holy Tablets, there are pictures of these different beings, and one of the beings
in the video,
straight up like Jabba. Yeah, in the video too. That's right. And also in the video, look straight up like Jabba the Hutt. So I haven't posted Tuesday's show to YouTube yet. I'm working on it. I'll get it up there. But we break down Star Wars and how it ties all into what we're talking about. So yeah, I loved how he broke down the different species in Inner Earth, and then the parts that stood out to me in his first 15 minutes is when he was saying, you know, it was kind of a little affair going on, and so they knew they had did wrong. They fled to the surface of the earth, and then where did they go seek refuge? Where did they run to when they got busted with their affair and Yacub's mom
didn't
became
they
pregnant?
Go to Africa?
They went to Saudi Arabia, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Right out there in that same area we just talked
in the
about.
Same
Syria,
area.
maybe.
That's the point I'm trying to make. So there goes back to that area of Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Iraq. So it sounds like they was just rogue nation over in that area, because you had the Nephilim and the giants that were over there. We know they were over there, and now according to the story of Yakub, you have two folks that were in Inner Earth, had an affair, fled there as well, was raising their son, and then he all of a sudden became resentful and then started learning or teaching himself based on what his uncle had taught him as well, the art of grafting different beings. So he basically, in that first 15-minute video, they're telling you that he figured out that, you know, the highly melanated being had the stronger gene pool, and then, you know, the lighter that the bloodline is or whatever, then the gene pool, melanated, right, it became a little different. So he figured out a way that he could put those together to create what he wanted to create, because he was pissed at the highly melanated race. So
they didn't mention. I'm sorry, sis. They didn't mention.
You go ahead.
I didn't hear them mention. Well, I don't know if it was this video or something else I seen where he was, the reason why he was angry was because his parents got taken out.
I can't remember if that's in there, because remember, we only did the first 15 minutes tonight.
Right.
So it's about 2 more parts to it, and I can't remember if that was the reason. But yeah, family, so we did want to introduce the concept of Yakub to you to get you to start thinking about the different, this is another aspect of how we have what we today call it the different races on this planet, or the different color hues. So this is according to the story of Yakub. So interestingly enough, what we're going to do is I'm going to open the phone lines, because if we get into the holy tablets, I don't want to rush it. We have so much to go over on that, because that gets back into a little bit deeper on the battle that happens, and it also starts to bring in Murdoch Okay, and how so that's gonna be on and popping. How he plays a role in this, and then they also go into some more of the gene slicing and all of that, and I don't want to rush through that. So we'll pick up on that next week, as well as back on Yacub and Enoch and the Terra Papers. So I'm going to open up the phone lines because I know we threw a lot at you again tonight. So let me open up the phone line, family. So just a second.
While you're opening up and the family's coming in the queue. I'm listening to the Yakub story and how you put them in ships out into sea and they jumped overboard. And so I'm listening to that, and what's coming to my mind is the Atlantic, the slave trade, and how they showed even in Roots and in Amastar how they was jumping overboard.
Absolutely, and not only that, sis. Hey, see, woo, that's why I love it when we be breaking it down like this. Okay, remember Dr. Hendrick, and we have callers. I see you, 254. That's my beloved Simeon, and I think that's 215 is Brother Robert. I could be wrong. I see you. We're coming to you. Okay. Remember when Dr. Henderson said what the slave trade really was about? It was about to confuse identities. So they brought the people over from Africa onto this soil. Of course, it was to put them into slavery, but it was also to confuse the deal of who the original owners of this land were. And then they subsequently mixed those bloodlines as well. And so, same concept.
Yep. Absolutely. So one of them is fabricated.
Right.
Just like the story of Roots I'm finding out was totally fabricated.
Oh, it's totally fabricated.
Alex Haley.
Right. Had they tell it that we all just came from Africa, when that's the furthest from the truth. It is only a low percentage of Africans that came over here. The rest of us were already here, but they had to confuse the whole bloodline story. So kind of like Yakub, he wanted to create different bloodlines and identities and races, and that's exactly what they did with the whole slave trade thing. They created races. They started calling us African Americans, and that's not what we are. So it's the same story being repeated over and over and over again. Okay, but good point.
And then the Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Now we have issues in the news with Planned Parenthood. When he said the Planned Parenthood, I was like, okay, so this is what they're doing with the Planned Parenthood. Remember, you just said that they stuck. They stuck on this earth, and they got to have a body. So that was a way of getting body parts and grafting bodies for them to be here in to conceal themselves, huh?
All that stuff they doing is thousands of years old.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing of it is that the Planned Parenthood, so you all that haven't heard that story, is that recently the Planned Parenthood CEO was caught on tape admitting that they're taking aborted fetuses parts and they're selling them.
Yeah.
They're selling them. So
discussing that over lunch.
Yeah,
over lunch.
Sitting there, chilling with her little wine, breaking down.
Was it wine or was it blood?
Blood. Discussing how much,
like ain't nothing happening. That brain will cost you $7,500.
Absolutely. So
you got to be sick to be sitting there eating dinner or lunch or whatever and discussing something like that like it ain't nothing.
absolutely, you got to be sick. So when sis is right, thank you, sis, for that, making the connection with the big head scientist, bringing up that Yakub was using a form of birth control and kind of controlling how people would mate and all of that, like in the scenario of Planned Parenthood. Thank you for bringing that recent thing in line. And then Sis D texted me and she said, yeah, because you know they're still gene slicing today. Absolutely they are. They ain't never stopped.
No.
They ain't never stopped. That's what the whole movie The Island of Dr. Monroe was about. They were telling you what they were doing. They were doing it all the way back to Nazis. We knew before that, but it started being documented, secretly documented, with the whole Nazi program. They were doing gene slicing and genetic mutation. So none of this is new. And remember, that's why when we were in the book of Enoch, why Father Yah went off on the falling watchers or the falling angels, letting them know that, you know, you thought you was slick because the information that you did tell was not good information. It wasn't the holiest of secrets is what he was saying. But the information from heaven that you did give out caused a lot of damage. So this is part of it too, them playing around with genetics, because remember, it is an exact holy science to it. So if you're not privy to that, you're going to create monsters.
Yep, absolutely.
And that is what we've been dealing with. So
it's a science, just like you said, it's a science to producing a supernatural being.
Supernatural is the operative word, because when they call themselves slicing and dicing, either it's a very defective being from a physical standpoint, and all the time is messing with the genes, it's watering down the genes, and more importantly, it's missing that God particle, which connects you to having that eternal soul. That's what's always missing from their creations.
Yep, the dark matter and the melanin.
And so that's how the monsters are created, and that's why Father Yah told him in the book of Enoch that the Nephilims, they not going to have eternal life. While you was sitting up here playing, you felt because they came from your side of the bloodline that you have eternal life, that they will. But how about this? They ain't going to have it. Because what they did was not of the divine. They did not have the divine heavenly science. So therefore, whatever they touch in that aspect, it's not going to be pure. Okay, so we're going to go to the phone lines. We have 254. 254, your line is open.
Rise and shine, family.
Rise
and shine. Freedom and justice. What can I say but praise Yah?
Absolutely.
Greetings to the IJ fact finders here, and I would like to take a moment to send out condolences to the black family, and I know that's a serious note, but since you said he was from Honduras, I know that in Florida I had some of the greatest tasting bananas, and they tasted like what I ate in the West Indies, and these came from Honduras, so I know they have some good quality organic bananas that when you eat two, you feel full, but you know, in the States, you eat 5 bananas and you wonder what am I eating.
Right.
So, but I just want to send a shout out to Brother Black, and please accept our sympathies over there. So we are sorry for the passing of your mom, but we know she will be back very soon. So keep your mind on the fist and to know that the time of wave shifts. So just keep with the timing, and you will know that she'll be back soon. So she's just resting for a moment. She'll be back soon. Yes, so thanks a lot for all the information you have been downloading. It's like sometimes when I think of Adam and he was able to name all the animals and, you know, in just one moment after creation, then, you know, I see so much positive information. Truth is coming to the people these days, and we thank you for sharing all this information with the family here. And I would like to, you know, jump in on the hot subject here moment. And it's, you know, there is a counterfeit to the true Son of Man. And when I hear the presentation tonight, you see a total summary of everything. And again, I see that coming into Dallas, Texas. Dallas is known as the Republic of Texas. It is also in the Tarrant County court. You'll find documents of the Republic of Texas, and it is the Ecclesiastical District number 2, and that's why the World Court is operating from Dallas, Texas. Even Texas, Waco, they call it Jerusalem on the Brazos, and Brazos means arms or branches, and we have Brazos de Dios, a river named Brazos, the arms of God or the branches of God, and branch Davidians and branch Davidians. And you have, well, let's say that the portals in Dallas are open. Where would Pope Mario try to enter in? I have not been to Dallas, but Dr. Henderson has been to Waco. That's where he met me. But I won't be surprised if it's at an Eastern Gate they came. Entering, then the 22nd of the 7th month, you know, as we mentioned, Sept is in French 7, Septimo is Spanish, September, so we know September, the 7th month. On the 22nd of the 7th month, you studied the feast, and you will know that September is the only month that's regulated in the calendar, the Restoration calendar, that coincides with the Gregorian calendar and the day for a day. So it fills out that's 30 days in September, and every month has 30 days. And so on the 22nd is the last great day. The last great day, Simchat Torah, when the true bridegroom, the anointed one, the son chosen by Yah to do this mission, comes in and is presented. Well, Dallas, the court in the Judge Colonel Pickney, 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 I searched that and I found the name in the documents here in Texas history, and Dr. Henderson said that was his great-grandfather. So Colonel Pickney, Richard Pickney Henderson, wrote the Constitution in his courtroom. Well, where would you expect that the next, one would go? He went into Philadelphia. That's the place where the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence were signed. So you follow that path, and that's why there is a counterfeit. So this is my audible affidavit that the information shared in this regard should not be held against the people in accordance to HJR 85 and as members of the Redemption Trust of the Bathsheba and Esther Trust. So this is what I'd like to say on this hot topic here. And then one more thing I'd like to say, I know you said so much stuff here, but we will notice that 1582, October 4th, was when the Gregorian calendar was instituted. And the next day would have been the 5th of October, but they called it the 15th of October. And then that was 400 33 years ago. So 10, we said 4, 3, and 3 is 10. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10. 10 is universal, and they have gone worldwide to declare. But God is in judgment, and I'll remind the folks to go back and read the book of Genesis and read the book of Revelation, because in Genesis you will see a pattern of the flood, and the 17th of the 7th month was the end of the 110th day, and then that's when water remained on the earth. But then to drown off all the wicked people, 7 days they went into the ark, it was shut out, then no rain fell. Then on the 17th day, rain began to fall for 40 days. That rain continued on the earth from that 40 days plus 110, 150 days right there with the water. Then it came into another phase, and on the 17th of September was the end of the 110 days. So water remained on the earth. But then it continues now for 164 days for the destruction of the wicked, and that water starts to drain off, or the Bible says assuage. It's assuage, and sewage, draining up. So that water starts draining up, and guess who? Well, today is the 15th day where we know, like, after twilight, one day ends and another day begins. So we've just ended the 14th day. But now it's the 15th day of that 164 days. So if you keep record, you start counting 164, and you will find out when that 164 will complete. But there are more destruction. You have Pope Mario shows up after the 17th, which is when the water is draining up and the Nephilim are showing up, popping up. Please bring your DNA. Let's know that you are not Nephilim. Why are you hiding? My audible affidavit here. And so there we have, and so Mr. Boehner again resigned, 164 days unrolling, and the demons are running and hiding. Oh, Waco, it's coming to Waco, Texas, too. Judgment is pronounced. And so, when you come to a city that the son of a former mayor is the mayor, and your sheriff's brother is the chief investigator for the district judge, and you have the bikers shoot out, and 12 bullets went out, and nobody talks about it. Well, you better know that all crimes against mankind are going to be, there are no statutes of limitation. So, and then all of a sudden the sheriff dies out, so heart attack. So you find out that God is in serious business. And so the Nephilim are going to be popping out like popcorn throughout this 164 days. And then after that, there's going to be another 56 days, because when Noah stepped out of the ark, he said, the earth was dried up after the 164 days, but it said that then he stepped out 50 days later when it was dried up. So there are two meanings of dried up. Dried up means water drained off, but you have a muddy, saturated earth. But then when you have the second phase of dry, it's like you get the moisture off and you're back on solid ground. And so Noah was able to set his foot on dry land with his family in the new earth and the kingdom. And so that's how the revelation of the prophecies, but the wicked won't be there. So have no fear and keep strong, family, love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. One heart, one mind, one spirit. And thank you for your patience because of the love, that one love of Yah. Thank you for your patience to listen to what I had to share. God bless you all.
Thank you.
God bless and keep you.
We love you, Simeon.
Love you,
Thank
Simeon.
you very much.
Love you for love.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, that's Brother Simeon. He always brings it. He breaks it down. He gets into the Holy Bible scriptures very heavily. He's very excellent at decoding. If I guarantee you, if you go back and listen to this again and pay attention to what he's saying and writing it down, he's giving you code. When, you know, he gave that date and he told you how the 7 is the completion, and then he lets you know that 22. Well, 22 always means manifestation. When you and it means double covenant. So manifestation, double covenant. So what he's telling you, that's why George Mario did what he did on that particular day, you on that particular flight with the 777, landing down in Dallas, the sacredness of it all, of what Dallas represents, which is the Republic. And I'm glad he brought that up, because I had even forgot about that aspect of it. It is the Republic. It is the New Jerusalem. So he called himself landing down there to prove a point, trying to make something happen, manifest, trying to fool himself, basically, because he ain't fooling the righteous. We already know of a double covenant, which we know he is no part of. So I guarantee you, family, if you go back and listen to this again, go back over what Simeon said, and he's even breaking down to you the days. You can count out the days, and you can know the events that's going to happen based on the story of Noah. So he already told you. That's why he said Boehner so happened to resign on that day after also Doctor called him on his card. So thank you for that, Brother Simeon. Truly, truly appreciate it.
And another reason, and that 22 is broken further down to the number 4 when you add it, which is part of the 501c4 Esther Bathsheba Trust.
Right, because the 4 in that 501c4, the 4 represents double covenant. The double covenant that Father is giving to us. 5 represents the grace. Okay?
I say.
But the 01, I forgot. I think it like represents the man. Then the C represents the covenant, and then the 4 represents the double covenant. Break it down, sis, because I couldn't remember.
One is Yah. One is Yah.
Yeah, one is Yah.
O1 is Yah. Okay. Okay. And
so 5 is grace, the O1 is Yah, and the C is for covenant, and the 4 is for a double portion.
Double covenant. Absolutely.
Now, I want to add a little something to that. The last call I was on, or the last call I listened to, people are getting discouraged by the people out here that are not listening in regards to getting on the 501c4. And I don't know how good people can explain the whole scenario and all that, but basically what people are doing is not accepting the new covenant.
Basically, that's basically what they're doing. Absolutely.
And they don't understand that by not accepting the new covenant, you will be destroyed.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now that may help somebody that's listening that hadn't got under that Bathsheba that's the trust yet, but that's basically what you're doing when you don't take care of that business.
Exactly, and especially those that sit in church every Sunday, that sit in Bible study every Wednesday, and they're teaching you this stuff, but you don't think that it applies. I don't enter and overstand that.
Well, you know what? I graduated from that years ago.
Yeah, and I get it, but
so I know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're sitting in those institutions asleep. They're under that spell. They're under that 501c3 Pope spell. And so, but the ironic part about it, they have the holy book, and it's all written in there. But when these people are bringing to you what's going on, you don't believe that it's going on or that it's going to happen, but that's what you allegedly and supposedly studying.
They don't read.
In the church every week. Oh,
they don't read. You remember, that's a club. Ain't no learning going on in there. That's a nightclub. You know what I mean? That's open in the daytime.
Oh well,
that's what it turned into.
I can't help them, so it's on them. So okay, well let me get to the callers because we running. Oh, poor brother Kalia keeps dropping. Okay, caller 215, your line is open.
Hey, this is Lioness.
Hey, sis.
Oh, I have to commend y'all. This one is truly hitting everything again. It's wonderful. I commend you on your scholarship to quote where you got things and not just rely on Wikipedia because anybody could write in Wikipedia.
Absolutely.
But you're broadening out. Everybody's participating, and this is an example to everyone, and that's what's supposed to happen. And Mr. Wendell, I can't wait. I told you before, I can't wait till we get together. It's the same books, the same things, and it's broad, it's vast, it's wonderful.
Hey, I got the whole country broken, David. Ain't nobody.
That's all right. It doesn't matter where we are. We're in the right place, and we
absolutely.
I appreciate that.
2, 3 things. One, this is all related to Poopy, because Argentina was where they put the eugenics people as well as America on Montefiore Island. Again, Saturday, I could give you the number. I sent an email out, but
okay, let me get my little pen. Now this is the show. You're gonna do it on Saturday, sis?
Yeah, as long as Joaquin don't come here, but I hope he coming because that has to do with everything also.
Yeah, okay. If he gets it popping on Saturday, then we'll have to get your information.
Another time, that's all, but
exactly. Okay.
Look, it has to do with Joaquin, and it has to do with those people today, the UnCONPromeyezed people. This is divine retribution. It's all in divine order, okay?
Yes.
The UnCONPromeyezed people, because they're people, and they were terminated on the other people's paperwork, but they never went away. But that means thundering rains. Joaquin is supposed to rain, R-A-I-N, havoc, in order to bring things back in order, and guess what? It's about 2 rivers. The Rio Grande, which goes through Texas and Mexico. Okay, it's all there, and I'm just so happy y'all have rejuvenated a lot of things, and those that don't want to listen, that's on them. Those that can't listen, some of those pathways are opening up more and more because October 8.
August 8.
Every day adds up to a 9. The abundance, the truth, the justice, all of this will culminate in a couple of days. So that's why we must get this out. And even after that, we must all come together and give our pieces and share our pieces.
Yep, we continue in this. Absolutely.
Everybody's light must shine. It's about the late 1800s, and that's what my great buddy Steve Coakley put out there. The okie doke happened in the 1800s. I mean, it has happened long before, but that's when the real lasting thing that's being overturned. It's like that onion. You got to go backwards and
got to peel it back.
That's what Wendell said.
Got to peel it back. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and the stars, the 7-pointed, the 8-pointed star, the 5-pointed star, all of this is that way. That's the route. Also, the Pope went to see that clerk, the lady clerk who said she wasn't doing the...
Oh, the gay marriage.
Yep. He went and he saw her. So he
did.
When you thought he was tired and sitting down. He had to do the mission because he had to try to do whatever they can do for their level of where they left off at, which they will never return to. So it's all of that. But yeah, I don't want to belabor anything. I just want to give y'all kudos. And Linda, I'm getting back to you. Don't worry. But we're all here together, and Simeon is so great.
I know. We love Brother Simeon. Yes. Yes, he has. So, sis, do you have the information for Saturday's show? Okay. I couldn't get the same number because I don't have the flash thing because I'm on Android until another. Oh, yeah.
And then I switch back over to the other. But for now, it's 712 432 6100.
61.
Yeah, 712 432 6100.
Okay, and what's the passcode?
It's 91939318.
Ooh, that's long.
So,
okay, so
what time?
I see a lot of 9s, and I see 3
and
plus. I see another 9 when you add the 1 and the 8. Yeah, so
right, because that's 9 is the real completion.
Exactly, 9 is the 7 is perfection. 9 is complete. Now. That's right. So I have 919-39318.
Pound sign.
Okay, so this is at Saturday at what time?
8 p.m.
Eastern time?
Eastern time, yeah.
Okay, so sis,
7 o'clock our time, Central.
Yeah. Well, you're on Central. I'm on Eastern, so I will make sure that I put out a promo for this. So what's the topic, sis?
The road to Damascus. It's called Tell the People. We just have to tell the people what's going on. It's going to be the route that Whore of Babylon took, and why, and then how it relates to Yacub and now. And there's going to be a special guest, my old buddy who did the eschatology and etymology, and it's wrapping this all together. He went to school at Notre Dame, so
Rhonda.
Connections, everything.
Yes, sir, brother.
Make sure you repeat that information before we go off air, because I didn't get all of it.
Okay, I will. I'll definitely repeat it, and then I'll also put it on the Facebook page. So you all can get it as well. We'll promote it just like we do, Prophecy and Truth Uncompromised in our other shows. So we'll make sure we promote it as well.
I need to be on that call.
I will make this little disclaimer. Where I grew up, that little boy who said he created Facebook, who did not. It was another person. Okay?
Zuckerberg, yeah.
Yeah. I don't associate with that because of having.
I get it.
But for this, you go ahead because we have to do it. We have to do it in order.
Right. We got to do what we got to do.
So I thank you for that too. I truly do.
Oh, no worries, sis, and thank you, and we'll get this message out, and we'll be on there Saturday ready to go with our notebook.
Okay, and we just share. Nobody's above anybody else. We're just sharing what we came here with in order to get on up out of here, too, because it's ascension time. But it's wonderful It's just wonderful. People out there, just take in what you've heard today and see the love that's going on, and Simeon's words and Doc's words, and listen to these people out there who you think are against us. That's just divine order. So listen to it and make that love come into your heart so that we can ascend now.
Yes.
Love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, sis. Okay. All right, family. So I'm going to give that information one more time, and then, again, we'll put it on the Truth Uncompromised page, too. So that is going to be this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The call-in number is 712-432-6100. The passcode is 919-39318. And so the topic is the route that she said the Jorge or Whore of Babylon took, and how Yacub relates. That's going to be off the hook, y'all.
It sure is.
Okay, so thanks, Sis Lioness. Love you much. Okay, so, brother, I'm going to get to you, 914. I saw you keep getting kicked off. 914, your line is open.
Greetings, family.
Greetings.
From New York.
Hey, brother.
You know, sis, you had just mentioned something about Ninmah and Ninharshag.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, it's funny. Now, Cleopatra's name was supposed to be Ninhira.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
I did not know that.
Hera was supposed to be married to Zeus.
I keep telling y'all these same people.
Hera was supposed to be married to Zeus. And I just find it funny how these names, how they took certain names and they replaced them.
Yep.
They're the same people. You know, I got several websites where I go and get this information on Anunnaki and anything related to it. I have a section where they have known relatives of Anu. Guess who one of them is? Aphrodite.
Wow.
But her alias name is Inanna. You see what I'm saying? We see. I appreciate and applaud all the brothers and sisters that do all the research and work on Egypt, but you got to go back further than that, because something happened before Egypt.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And I'm going to just add on to that. Remember when we were in the El Holy Tablets last week, and one of the couple of the angels had went and was looking at the Akashic records, and they came back all upset because they saw where Michael was going to be cursed. But then I made a note that now the family don't think it's Archangel Michael, because Michael is a title. So it's also used as a title. So the point I'm trying to make, that it could either be two things. It could either be the same people, where we saw that as we were going through the Terra Papers, and then we went over to El Holy Tablets, how we saw it was the same people. Or when we jumped to closer to our time and our realm on this planet, people took those names as titles.
Yep.
That's
Christ is a title too. Christ.
Yes, like Christ is a title. Absolutely.
You know what it could also be? It could also be reincarnation.
Could be. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ain't nothing new under the sun. No new souls. It's all here.
Absolutely.
Right here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It could be, incarnation, reincarnation, saying that, you know, they are under that particular order or in that house.
And also with all the reincarnation, incarnation, there was also reanimation. Reanimation meaning that you could be, if the body was found, it was damaged, and the spirit was, that body could be reanimated. They had the wherewithal to reanimate the body.
With just a strand of hair.
Absolutely.
Clone.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Makes sense.
But it was really showing it, sis, in the Star Wars movie, when Luke got his arm chopped off, they reanimated that arm. They sure did.
They sure did. So, yeah, family, I'm going to get that video together. We just been so busy with research because that Star Wars, we reviewed the first movie, the 1977. That ain't nothing but the Terra Papers and the El Holy Tablet, baby. Because I even saw, sis, when we get back into the El Holy Tablets next week, where Lucas even took something straight out of the tablets and put it up in Star Wars. So, yeah, I was like, oh, so you did. So, yeah, we'll go over that next week. All right, brother. Will you have anything else you want to put on it? Yes.
Yeah, you had mentioned about, you know, that you couldn't get in the queue for Friday because you wanted to ask Dr. Henderson about, you know, where they get that money from.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get into it.
He did mention something. He did mention something. He said that, you know, all that's going to do is just put him further and further in debt.
That's right. He sure did.
Stupid. I just, I don't get it because as you can see, they only extended it for 2 little funky extra months.
Right.
Because they don't know how they can sustain it because none of the other nations are working with them anymore to finance their debt.
Yeah, only thing they can do is steal now.
I think in that time we're going to get a period of darkness.
Yeah, because, I mean, China was the main financer, and last month they dumped a trillion bonds. So ain't nobody buying the debt. So they're literally just the printing machine. Yeah. The little raggedy printing machine. So basically all of the money that's floating around right now, it's only within this country because nobody else is playing in the sandbox with the U.S. So that's why they only extended it to 2 months.
I got a question. I got a question. Are y'all aware that for every dollar we spend, they owe 10% on top of that?
It's 100.
It's it went up to 100?
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's really more than that.
No, what I'm saying is we know how far they're in debt. But what I'm saying is live today, if you go out and you spend $1 at the convenience store, the U.S. Corp owe 10% more on top of that.
And we're telling you it's 100% more on that. It's probably 1,000% at this point.
Okay, that's what Dr. keeps saying. If they don't do that, they.
All right, what I'm saying is this. This came from Dr. Henderson. When you spend cash money, for every dollar you spend, they owe another 10% on top of that. Since they've been under sequester.
That's terrible.
Okay, that's what he's charging them.
Right.
Okay, my bad, baby. My bad.
I thought you was aware of that.
So
I thought y'all was aware of that.
No, I must have missed that. So they still spending, so they got to pay 10% on top of that. So that
on top of they got to pay 10% for every dollar they spend, plus every dollar that we spend out here to the general population.
That's just crazy. So now it makes sense.
So it's time to treat somebody almost and they deserve it.
Oh, yeah, I have no sympathy or empathy.
I ain't got no problem with it. I don't want no checks. I want all cash.
So now let me ask Wendell something. Does that mean that when it says that they're going into slavery, they have to pay off the debt?
Ooh.
That's right. That's right. You hit the nail on the head then.
Yeah,
no, that's deep. You know y'all clowning, right? That's
Hey, we supposed to be clowning. They've been clowning us since we were born.
No,
now, that right. Wow, and now it makes sense on one of the calls, Dr. Henderson, and I know Sister Divinity gonna chuckle, because I said, girl, did you hear that? And this was last year sometime. He said, Dr. Henderson said, Brother KG said, because Brother KG was on the phone cussing somebody out.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I knew he was talking about that.
Could have been press. Oh, it could have been Congress, but he was cussing somebody out. So Brother KG basically said, B-Y. He did the initials. I can't do it right now. But the initials, when Dr. Henderson said the initials, I wrote it down. And I said, now what is he with these initials? Then it came to me. I fell out on the floor laughing. This is what Brother KG said when he was either cussing out press or cussing out Congress. He told them, B better have my money. So
Gorilla pimping.
I hit the floor. So now it makes sense why what you just said, Brother Wendell, that 10% on top of everything that they spend. So that's why Brother KG probably begging, cussing them out, because they probably calling him begging, like, please extend our credit. And he's like, no, you better have my money.
Right.
Where is it?
Wow.
Because see what the sequester represents is they ain't supposed to spend not one dime until they pay Dr. Henderson.
Right, not nary of a dime. Exactly.
Not nary.
Nothing.
Exactly.
And if they do, for every dollar that the general public spend, they owe 10% plus. Whatever they spend,
you know what? And it makes
they
sense.
Screwed. They can't get out.
They are. And somebody posted a video with Janet yelling. Her nerves so bad. She was at a conference. She couldn't hardly speak. She was literally having a nervous. Yeah. Wasn't her nerves shot? She was having a nervous breakdown. And I was like, maybe you need to come up out of that position. You already know
like a pair of crap dice.
Exactly.
That probably was a clone malfunctioning.
I don't. Either way, the clone's programming broke down. The clone's programming is like, I'm tired of this F.
Okay, Clone Wars. Remember that's part of that's part of the Star Wars series.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We ain't got to that yet.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, brother. Did you have anything
fam.
else? Okay, then. Well, thanks, brother. Peace and love.
Peace and love, brother.
Okay. All righty. I know who this is. This is my sis Linda. Let me open her up. 904. Sis, your line is open.
Rhonda.
Peace and love.
Hey, beautiful.
Hey, Wendell. Hey, Simeon. You know, I wrote down some notes. I wanted to say some things. But the longer that the call went on, I got kicked off a few times, and I've been waiting. I've been waiting weeks to hear about Yakub, and I missed it, the whole thing. I got to go to the replay to hear everything about Yakub. But I just wanted to say that I just want to commend all of you guys for bringing up these topics that nobody talks about, and for putting out all of the different creation stories and myths, and which you guys have told it that it is the story. And it don't matter if they call it Genesis, the book of creation, or two of the different stories, or the book of Enoch,
or the emerald tablets, Yacub, all of them are telling the truth, and they just change the names to protect the innocent.
Right.
Okay. and so I didn't say to protect the guilty. They changed the names to protect the innocent, which are us, because a lot of people can't handle this, and so a lot of my comments, I don't really want to say it. I just want to thank you guys. But, I forgot. I got to go to the first page. I think her name was Sister Gwen. You did a good job. And, Rhonda, you made a good call when you asked her to come in and presented herself.
Yeah, because she was like, I'm like, no, baby. That was your message. You
made an excellent call. Excellent.
Simeon, you got to come on.
Simeon made the excellent call and coming in and telling about the flood and all of the days. It's more than 40, it's more than 150, it's more than 160, it's more than that. This is an ongoing saga, and that's why you can't stop. You wonder why you can't stop each week. It's because it's an ongoing saga. And that's where it is, and we are at the end game now. But one of my connections that I made is like all of you guys said something about it and about Syria, and it started. I put Syria in the Bible, Syria in the book of Enoch, and Syria in the news today. That's where all the refugees are coming from, where they moved them all out, and the day after peace was declared, they were shooting bombs off in there. That's where the war-torn part is. So Syria is all throughout the Bible, and it's not a made-up name, It's still Syria. And and I think, Brother Wendell, when you mentioned about Credo Mutwa and all of that, because after Rhonda was talking about Syria and about how those were like a dog, those people in that area, when they fought, they were like ravenous dogs, and they would eat their victims. And
ate them right there on the spot.
Ate them on the spot on the war field. And so it meant that they would eat them. And then you brought in Credo Mutwa, because, he talked about the Dogons and his people.
Yes.
And the star, there's dog people, the dog star, dog planet, all of this stuff. And when it was saying that the treaty that Rhonda, I think you said they would make a treaty with that dog-like race, I was thinking Europeans or Caucasoids would make a treaty with those dog-like race in Syria, and they would always break it. They would always break it, and that's what's going on right now this week. So remember, they made treaty, took out refugees. All these countries didn't want to take them in, and then they start fighting the day after the Pope got back and left, the day after the President and Putin said, we'll go peace, we'll go together. And so I just wanted to say these things to remind us that that's where we are right now. This stuff is, it's like the Bible was foretelling the things that they told us already was going to happen, and we're watching it unfold in our lifetime, what we came back to witness because we knew this was going to happen. Even though we didn't have the books and we're searching it, we knew that this was what we had to come back for, because this has to play out, and we can tell by the story. I miss Yakub, so I don't know what you guys said about it. I just want to say about my family and Yakub. It's like in my family that my nieces are Hawaiian. I'm not Hawaiian. My sister's not a Hawaiian, who their children are. My children and grandchildren and nieces are Filipino. My son is not Filipino, but his children are. My people have we come from Louisiana, and it's like me, I have green eyes in some of them. It's like, okay, Yakub, what are you doing? You getting it right? It's starting to look back like me, something like that. I just want to say that, And it's like, so however it happened, hey, wait a minute, they're starting to look back like me. And but we can tell about the genetic mixing and splicing and what happened, but hey, wait a minute, my family is starting to look back like me, or those other families that got away from it, they're starting to look back like me.
And when I found it out, you know, a lot of people get mad about interracial relationships and stuff and all of that, but I'm saying, hey, we're doing our part.
Right. And that absorption.
Put it on, and we're doing our part, and we're not doing inbreeding or mixing and matching like that. And so we're going to we're doing our part to help it get back to zero. And the last thing, like what in the book of Enoch, when they were saying he went and petitioned Anu, or he petitioned the Most High, the Almighty, on behalf of the Watchers and the fallen angels and Nephilim, and you were talking about he petitioned on their behalf. And so in the court, remember, a petitioner is the one that puts in the request. And Dr. Henderson have been telling everybody recently that in the World Court, when you put in your request with the World Court, don't forget to tell us what you want the outcome to be. So tell us what you want as the remedy. So don't just petition. Tell us what you want as a remedy and an outcome too. And so that's getting right back to just the beginning. You know, in this World Court, it's just like the World Courts, the heavenly, the high courts. You know, where those elders and the 24 elders are. So I just wanted to say that. And then the very last thing that I would like to say is, other than thank you, whoever gave the young man that came in last, where he said Nethera, or that is Terra, and Cleopatra, or him and Wendell said that those names.
Aphrodite.
Okay, and Aphrodite. Although I thank you guys for giving me another connection, because that's one I've been looking for you know, to even see if Cleopatra was King Tut's sister, and you know, he married his sister, and she married her brother, had him killed, and her other brothers and things too. So I'm just trying to see where that could have a connection, and I think you guys gave me a dot that I can probably start connecting. But that wasn't the last thing. The last thing was you guys were talking about the U.S. corporation and spending money. Don't forget, about a month ago, Shelley was naming all of the nations that had come aboard the 501c4, and she said the United States, and she also said the United States of America, or America, and somebody told her on the next call, they said, you said the U.S., you know, are they on it? And she said, yes, that, you know, they can get on the Redemption or Amnesty Trust. And so she said, yes, some of the people came aboard, some of the judges, some of the senators. So, yes, there are people from the corporation that's coming that are willing to do benevolent things. And so I just ask all of you to just look at another viewpoint and say, what if some of them are able to stay in their part, and if this delay is so that because they're coming on board behind the scenes, so that we can preserve. And I'm not saying that that's it. I'm just saying be open for that viewpoint, because when there's an amnesty, there's a delay. Delay does not always mean no. That it might be, yes, we're getting everything that we want, and some of them are helping us to get it faster. And so I yield, and I thank all of you for your input in helping us. Now I yield.
Thank you, Sis Linda, and peace and love unto you. Thank you so much for breaking a nice little summary down for us. We truly appreciate it. So, yeah, when you get a chance to go back and listen to the Yakub, you'll be quite surprised about that grafting. So we have one more call, family. I know we're keeping you late. 347, your line is open.
Peace and love, family.
Peace and love, brother. How are you, Brother Robert?
I'm so great. I'm so warmed and set on fire by what these guys always doing, the waves and the electricity and energy that you're generating. I mean, you have me going back to thoughts that ain't never surfaced in so long that I almost didn't know I had them. You guys. And then I was finally glad to hear some details on Linus' program, because I have been very unable to catch up with her. And it's always good to hear each and every one of you. Simeon, he's always got something, but I missed a lot of the meat in it. So, and normally I be trying to tape things, but y'all guys are putting out so much. My taping phone recorder is full. I got to figure out what the hell am I going to erase? What don't I want to look at again? Oh, man, I'm in the corner.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
Robert. You sound like me. I got so many files on my computer. I look at them sometimes and say, I need to get rid of some of them. No, I can't do that.
No, that's right.
I tell you, but it's all beautiful. And as I said, I missed a lot of it, but a lot of it was something that I didn't really want to miss. But I know I'm trusting that I'm gonna be able to go and re-listen to the recording as Linda so faithfully, put the word out. We got to listen again, but it's also beautiful. And now I know a couple of shows ago, Rhonda, I had mentioned that in order for us to really be able to embrace the truth of the truth, we have to stop trying to separate fact from fiction, from legend.
I remember you saying that.
Our knowledge is all in there. Everything came from one. But, when y'all were discussing the various name changes in the realms, it came to me that on the order and the line of in the beginning was the word. And on the order and the line of the fact that just as we have so many chakras in our body, so we do also have that many bodies. Spiritual bodies. So it's more like, to me, that we're living on all these various realms ourselves. And so that it threw me into the Circle 7, and I heard you mention the Circle 7 while that thought was circulating on me. It threw me into the Circle 7, Chapter 1, all right? And especially where it's talking about how the manifest comes about, where the high-level vibrations begin to slow down. And therefore, at the slowest rate, that's where we are manifesting and seeing. But we have to remember this is not who we are. It just happens to be a projection of where we all are coming from, where we all are ourselves. And so it will also give that projection of the true knowledge that, we can call these titles, we can call them names, is like the lowest form of a thing, because that's the artificial entity. That's why they say my appellation instead of my name. When they ask you what's your name and you say my name is, you're saying I'm subject to your creating an artificial entity out of me. Not even creating. You're forming or subjecting me to some artificial thing, but I'm life. I don't have a name. I have an appellation. Appellation is my title. And so as we talk about these same names and as above, so below principles come into effect. But again, that Circle 7, Chapter 1, I would, advise everyone to read that with the concept in mind that we are that which is unseen coming into form. And we can't change what we were from the beginning. And so that's another reason why these titles follow. And our expression is the defining moment of the truth to the title. And some of us, we might not wear our hat correctly. And that's because we're so distracted by the lower level vibration. But it's all good. It's all beautiful.
That was deep, brother. You just Yeah, that was pretty deep, Brother Robert. You just broke down, how we do operate on different realms and how our chakra systems is a representation of that, and then how what we described as the titles, that's why we have them, because that's still a manifestation of who we really are. So, man, that's really deep. And, speaking of that real quick, I'm not going to keep holding you all, family, but, last week when we were talking about Michael, and it being a title, and I wanted to make sure we did not confuse that with Archangel Michael. So after the show, I was getting ready for bed, and so I took my iPad and was about to take it off of the bed, and then all of a sudden, Michael Jackson's song popped on my iPad. I didn't touch anything, and I looked, and I said, okay, Michael, I love you too. You're welcome. Thank you for letting me know I did the right thing to make sure that they enter and overstood that was not you being cursed back there. So I just want to put that out there, that it's interesting, as Brother Robert pointed out, how it's really the same thing. And Brother Wendell, he's been saying that throughout this show. It's the same people we're talking about. It's the titles being passed down, because it's the same story, folks. It is the same exact story. And so now, as Sis Lioness is talking about, all of these pieces are coming back together. And this is why, we can't let go of this series. That's why Sis Lioness has to get out the information. That's why Sis Linda and crew cranks it out on Monday night. And of course, the really beautiful thing about it, it all folds into what Dr. Henderson talks about. None of us get on the phone with each other and say, girl, we going to discuss this. Linda and I don't get on the phone and say, well, I'm going to discuss this, you discuss that. And we definitely don't do it to Dr. Henderson. This is how all the information is coming together in divine order. So we're going to close out with that. Thank you, Brother Robert. Love you much. Peace and love. Brother Wendell, you have any last words for the family?
I ran across something. I'll probably wait till next week to do.
Okay. And next week you got to start bringing in the Book of Inky now, because I know it's a bunch of.
I told you I just got started on the 4th tablet. And I had to stop because I ran across something that hey, I'm bald-headed.
Okay.
Blew my wig back.
I blew his wig off.
Okay, so you got to put your weave together, pat your weave, and get back into rotation next week and get the Book of Inky on in here.
Yeah, because like I said, that this work here connects to some stuff that we've been looking at, and I know for myself, I'm saying, well, where did that come from? Who did that?
Right.
But in these tablets, which is really like a diary of Inky, all this stuff is being explained.
Okay. So we're going to have to bring that into the fold next week. So with family, we're going to get more on the Inky tablet. So again, make sure you don't miss it, because again, it's explosive. Sis Sahida, you have any last words for the family?
Yes. Brother Robert brought up the Circle 7, the Moorish Science Temple, Holy Quran, Circle 7. And I wanted to read a passage from the 1st chapter, which is titled The Creation and Fall of Man. It says, what I'm going to read is toward the end of that chapter. It says, let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest, of protoplast, of mineral, of plant, of beast. But he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage. But he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. However, hope will ever be his beacon of light. There is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading and on, and victory is sure. Islam.
Wow, Islam, sister. Well, family, we want to thank you again. We know we kept you long, but, you know, that's how the information flows. We want to remind you that tomorrow there are 2 calls. The first one is at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, the UN call, so check the SOVCPR site for the call-in information. And then, of course, later that night at 9:30 Eastern Time, we have the U.S. call, so check SOVCPR for that as well. And then Saturday, you have Sis Lioness show. It will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So I gave out that information. If you need it again, check the Truth Uncompromised Facebook page. We'll make sure we get those details to you. And then we will be back on Monday, Sis Linda, Sis Beverly, and Sis Denise with Prophecy. So you want to check that out. They are at 9:30 Eastern Time on this same Truth Uncompromised number. So you definitely want to check them out because they have been going lockstep with tying in the Bible prophecy to what is actually going on today. So you want to check that out as well. And then, of course, we will be back with you next Thursday. So that's all we have for you this week. I want to thank you all so much for your support and being patient. I know we kept you long this week. So peace and love, family. Nightfall, and we're going to rock out with some music.
Nightfall.
Nightfall, family.
Nightfall.